What are the absolute must-do experiences in New York City for 2025? Get ready for the ultimate NYC guide, packed with iconic attractions, hidden food gems, insider tips, and local hacks to make your trip unforgettable. Here we go. You can sit on a crowded tour bus, or you can be guided in a 1920s era car. I think a decision's pretty easy.
It's a 1930 Hudson Gray 8, the Hudson Company's first sports car. What do you say we get some photos in front of it?
Let's do it.
Okay, but before we do, I have some 20s accessories to get you in the mood. You're gonna be a celebrity for the next 50 minutes. This car gets a lot of attention. You're gonna get a lot of A-OKs, thumbs ups, a lot of waves. Just think of them as paparazzi when you're the celebrities here. Arnold Rothstein was the king of New York gamblers. He loved to gamble. He ran casinos in Times Square, and he bet on horses upstate. Made a lot of money. Jimmy Fallon came up to the car in a rocket car. We did a custom pickup and drop off for British supermodel Cara Delevingne.
Normally we visit New York City attractions. Today we are the attraction.
You have to be stuck in Midtown Manhattan traffic. This is the way to do it. I'm not even noticing the traffic. I don't think I've ever been in a car this old before. Are you?
No, well, my grandpa's, but I don't think it was this old.
Now that statue you see with a Tiffany clock, I think it's the largest Tiffany clock in the world. It depicts Hercules, Minerva, and Mercury, the gods of strength, wisdom, and speed.
That was like stepping back in time, literally and figuratively. I've never taken a driving tour quite like that one.
Just made us feel like we wanted to go back in time for real.
New York has dozens of boat tours, but I don't think any will give you the insights that the official NYC architecture cruise will. We're gonna explore the sixth borough, the waterfront. This is very classy. It's a 1920s style yacht we're on. If you are into history, this is the boat tour for you. We have a real architect who is narrating the entire skyline as we go.
So we're going to be traveling about 30 miles, going all the way around the island of Manhattan. Two towers connected by a sky bridge. That sky bridge houses amenity spaces for the apartment complex, including a 75-foot lap pool. So you can swim back and forth from tower to tower, 300 feet each. That green you see is patinated copper, very thin copper sheets, about the thickness of 2 pennies.
Something super unique about this tour is we are way up the Harlem River right now. I've never been on a boat this far up, and we're passing 18 bridges in total. We are wrapping back towards the Hudson River, and it feels like we're on a fall foliage cruise. It's beautiful views. Doesn't even feel like we're in New York anymore. I've driven over the George Washington Bridge hundreds of times. I have never gone underneath by boat. I'm even excited for this.
Tallest tower at Hudson Yard, to the left of the vessel and set back there.
Less than 30 people on board, intimate experience. I learned so much. It takes a lot for a tour to impress me. This impressed me a lot. As a first-time tourist, there's a lot of pressure to visit an observation deck. Now, we did an entire video visiting all 5 in one day if you need an in-depth look at each of them, and I'll reveal my personal favorite at the end, but I think all 5 have some benefits. One World Observatory. This is the highest viewing point in the Western Hemisphere, atop One World Trade, and it's entirely indoors if you don't want to be exposed to the elements. I also think the elevator ride up is by far the best one in the city, showing you how New York was built. Its location at the bottom of Manhattan gives you some clear views of the horizon. My issue with it, I really think you need to step outside at least a little bit, and you don't have that option here. Next, the Empire State Building. This is the most famous building in the United States, maybe the world, so it's got that star factor, and I appreciate the Art Deco vibes all over. This observation deck has grown on me in recent visits. I think for history buffs, this is a can't miss. The Edge Sky Deck. Well, this wins the award for highest outdoor sky deck in the Western Hemisphere, and the views from the angled glass are quite unique. It gives you the feeling like you're floating in midair, and if you're willing to shell out $201 a person, you could do City Climb, where you literally lean off a skyscraper. top of the Rock. This is probably the most underrated observation deck because it only goes 70 floors up, which is the shortest vantage point, but the Danny DeVito of observation decks packs a big punch because it's right in the middle of the Midtown skyscraper scene, making you feel more part of it. And it's my second favorite. Summit 1 Vanderbilt, this is my personal favorite because you get what I truly consider an indoor attraction with a glass mirrors and reflections everywhere and a few other neat rooms, and then an opportunity to go outside and still enjoy the skyline, optional elevator ride, ascent to the top if you're feeling daring. But all of these observation decks are bookable in the description, and it's really tough to go wrong with any of them. Now you may be wondering, why is the High Line not in this video? Well, this is just paid attractions. We're gonna have a free attraction video coming up soon. Broadway is the world's most famous theater district, and I would say it can't miss when you're in the city. Even living here, I get excited to go, and Adriana and I just recently booked tickets to see MJ the Musical for the first time. Now, I'm a huge fan of 70s and 80s music, and I have to give them credit. The choreography and songs were on point. They play over 25 of Michael Jackson's greatest hits, and it's won some Tony Awards. But from musicals to plays, remakes of old movies like Back to the Future, there is something for everybody on Broadway. And if you want to learn more about attending a Broadway show, check out this video we recently filmed with a Broadway insider on the topic. Few museums in the world you know exactly where they are just based off their name. The Louvre in Paris, the Smithsonian in DC, and the Met in New York. It's the largest art museum in the Americas and welcomes over 3 million visitors a year, and well, you could spend a whole day in there, although in this video we shot last year, we show you how to do it right in just 2 hours. The Temple of Dender is my personal favorite, but you can find Van Gogh, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and the list goes on and on. Insider tip, head to the rooftop for a really amazing view of Central Park, and if you're a big fan of art, I recommend booking a guide. See the link in the description if you're interested. The symbol of American freedom, the Statue of Liberty. And this is probably the most famous attraction in the city. Now, I will note that visiting the statue in Ellis Island, which is included in the ticket, will eat up at least half a day. So it may not be worth doing if you have a very limited time in the city, but the whole experience can give you goosebumps, starting with taking the ferry over to Liberty Island and having the same view that millions of immigrants had approaching New York Harbor. And just admiring the statue up close is really special. But I've said this on many videos, if you can book a ticket to get inside of the crown, it is well worth it. Because walking up that narrow staircase and seeing the inner workings of the sculpture, capped off with a view through the crown, is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But you normally have to book this months in advance, and you have to do it on the Statue Cruises website. And yes, you can see the statue for free by taking the Staten Island ferry, but if you can budget the time for it, it is certainly worth it. New York has world-class art museums and a world-class history and science museum. The American Museum of Natural History. Maybe you recognize the facade from Night at the Museum with Ben Stiller. I still think this is one of the best places for families with children to visit. What's not to love? I mean, who doesn't get excited about dinosaur fossils? Or how about the massive 21,000-pound model of a blue whale? And here's a little tip. Don't miss out on the brand new Gilder Center wing, which we featured on a video as one of New York's top new attractions in the past year. The architecture is breathtaking, and they've got some amazing add-ons like a live butterfly vivarium and an immersive Invisible Worlds experience, which do have extra admission charges. There's also an insectarium. They'll make learning fun, I promise. Families or anyone with a love for science definitely needs to give this a look. Where are my history buffs at? The Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum should be on your radar. Pun fully intended, because this is a decommissioned aircraft carrier that even served in the Pacific during World War II. Yep, this thing has stories. You're not just staring at photos on a wall. You are face to face with historic aircraft or a prototype of the Space Shuttle Enterprise. How about my personal favorite, the Growler, a formerly commissioned submarine? You get to feel what it was like to live inside there. If you have an interest in military history, the Intrepid is a fantastic choice. If you want to see New York from a completely different perspective, then the iconic Five Bridges bike tour is the answer. It's a guided tour with a native New Yorker, Rick, cool, be talking in your ear the whole time. You'll be e-biking over 5 iconic bridges, including the Williamsburg, Manhattan, and Brooklyn bridges. And while I'm someone that generally isn't that confident in biking in the city, Rick made it super simple, and I saw New York in a completely different light. You'll bike through a lot of neighborhoods that you probably wouldn't have visited otherwise, and you'll definitely get pictures and perspectives that no other tour will offer. And if this tour isn't for you, Rick also offers e-bike tours around Central Park and other famous spots in the city, so give his website a look, tell him I said hi. I may be just a little bit biased here since I'm a Yankees fan, but a trip to Yankee Stadium is a true New York experience. Now here's a little secret the Yankees don't advertise too much. You can bring your own food into the stadium for individual consumption. So if you're on a budget, you can stop at a local bodega or deli and grab food to go. But they do have some fantastic concessions like the 99 burger named after Aaron Judge or a classic steak sandwich from LaBelle's. And well, the team lately hasn't been great, but it's still a fun time. Sit in the bleachers if you're young and want a more lively vibe. And don't sleep on the Yankees Museum inside. It's free and has some incredible memorabilia.
Traveling to New York can be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but visiting here comes with its own unique challenges, which is why I'll be sharing 50 must-know New York travel hacks. These will save you time, money, and headaches. Trust me, here we go. Take the NY ferries. Now, the Staten Island Ferry is well known for its free Statue of Liberty views, but the $4 NY ferries are even better, in my opinion. There's so many cool routes to take. Anything that runs along the East River is incredible. You'll pass some of the city's top bridges, like the Brooklyn, and you can even sit up top and get some of the same views that much more expensive tour boats have. Of all the things in this video, this might be my favorite NYC travel hack. I just try to avoid peak commuting times when New Yorkers are going to and from work, as that's its primary purpose. Take a free walking tour with a Big Apple greeter. You've heard of free walking tours where you tip at the end. Those are great, but there's a program called the Big Apple Greeters where local volunteers take you around the city showing you their favorite areas. You just fill out a form and they see if they can find someone to place you with, as long as it's 1 month's notice. We're talking hidden gems. It's like seeing New York with a long-lost friend, and they won't even accept money if you try, but maybe a small gift from your home city or country would be nice. Visit bigapplegreeter.org for more info to sign up. Give this plenty of notice if you can. One of my favorite ways to impress friends or family visiting is to take them to any of the hidden streets of New York. Here are some of my favorites. Washington Mews, which is steps from Washington Square Park. It feels like you stepped into Europe. Sylvan Terrace uptown is absolutely gorgeous and full of history. Freeman Alley is like walking through a movie set, and we've got Stone Street, which basically feels like Harry Potter world. I'll throw in 6.5 Avenue, which I can't even believe exists and runs directly between 2 different avenues. There's even more of these, but I'll let you try to find out where they are. This is an amazing idea that I'd save to impress someone special. People ask me sometimes, what would be the one place to go celebrate something huge? And I tell them Saga in Lower Manhattan. It's gotten 2 Michelin stars, and we filmed at Overstory, which is the cocktail bar 1 floor above it, so I've seen it. You're eating a world-class meal, and then you get free access to the outdoor rooftop, which has some of the best views of the city I've ever seen. It's like going to One World Observatory, but being outside of it. So that's a 2-for-1 trick during warmer months I'd recommend that may leave you speechless. This is the best JFK Airport arrival hack I have. If you want to take public transit into the city, go take the Long Island Railroad, also known as the LIRR, from Jamaica Station, which is connected to the air train. You can head to either Grand Central or Penn Station for the princely sum of $5 with a city ticket. The seats are more comfortable, there's luggage racks, and it's direct in only 20 minutes. I've never taught anyone this tip who wasn't shocked how simple it was. Of course, this works best if you don't have a ton of luggage and are staying in Midtown. If you need more details, see my video on JFK Airport tips, which we shot earlier this year. This one is simple, but Tap to Pay now works on any device that has a chip. So if you have a card saved, or you can even tap your credit card, and you don't need a Metro card. In fact, they're gonna get phased out eventually. Even at the Air train at JFK, they now have readers installed. So before you get to New York, make sure that Tap to Pay is enabled on your phone. It seems like most countries are way ahead of the US on this anyway, but we finally have it on our subways, which just makes life easier. No more having to worry about refilling your Metro card. And if you were thinking of buying a 7-day unlimited, you'll automatically ride free after your 12th paid trip as long as you use the same device. So this is just such a game changer in taking the subways and buses in New York. And if you insist on buying a Metro card, save it as a souvenir. BYOB or bring your own bottle restaurants are like unicorns in New York because they're so tough to find these days. Locals like to guard them tightly, but if you enjoy drinking while you have dinner, you can save a fortune finding them. Peking Duck House in Chinatown is probably the most famous one, but there's plenty of others out there. Now, some charge a corkage fee, some don't. Some places even let you bring your own beer or liquor. This may be a topic I will dive into at some point in the channel, because if you order enough $18 cocktails when you go out, your bill will get pricey in a hurry. Some underrated photo spots of New York. You know, some of the best photo opportunities of this city aren't even in the state of New York. Just crossing the Hudson to go to Hoboken provides you bird's eye views of the Manhattan skyline. From the east side, I love the views at Gantry State Plaza in Long Island City, and Roosevelt Island also provides some unique perspectives as well. More about Roosevelt Island later on in this video. Let's talk about New York's community gardens and hidden parks. There's some treasures hidden in plain sight in the Big Apple, and most neighborhoods have them. They're called community gardens. Many date back to the days when the city was really struggling and are still an oasis among the concrete jungle. There's also some great hidden parks in Midtown I want to highlight, such as Paley Park and Green Acre Park. These two are a great place to take a break during a busy day of sightseeing. Don't pass them up if you have the chance. Explore lesser-known museums. I realize that if time is tight, you may not have the ability to hit these spots, but if you're a fan of the iconic New York subway, then the Transit Museum is a cheap way to step back in time. Head right for the basement and check out subway cars from the last 100 years and see the evolution of transportation as you take some amazing photos. Another museum I think needs more love is at Fraunces Tavern. Go here to explore the city's Revolutionary War roots. And both are inexpensive at just $10 for admission and way less crowded than the bigger spots that most go to. Free museum days. I'm gonna link to this updated Time Out New York article in the description, but there are many museums that have free days or pay what you wish hours, which could save you a lot of money. The only caveat here is they usually get quite crowded during those periods, so keep that in mind. Some of the more popular ones are the Morgan Fridays 5 to 7 p.m., which requires reservations a week in advance, as well as the Whitney every Friday from 5 to 10. The New York Historical Society's Pay What You Wish on Fridays from 6 to 8. The New Museum of Contemporary Art is Pay What You Wish on Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. For the rest of the list, see the link down below. Explore Central Park's lesser-known areas. Everybody knows that Central Park is a must-visit. Now, you can just scratch the surface, or you can find the really cool parts away from the crowds at the bottom. If you have the time, my top pick is the Conservatory Garden with an entrance near 105th and 5th Ave. It's absolutely one of the top free things you can do in New York. And if you want even more ideas for Central Park, check out the entire guide we shot to it. We cover the park from top to bottom. Speakeasy bars. Now, if you're over 21 and looking for some distinctly New York adventures, I don't think any other city on the planet has as many hidden speakeasy bars as the Big Apple. These take you back to the days of Prohibition, and there's usually some kind of hidden entrance situation. But if you're a fan of cocktails, I've seen that most of them actually pay really close attention to the quality of their drinks. We visited one recently called Little Shop, which was hidden in the back of a bodega, and that may have been the most clever one I've seen yet. Their drinks rocked. It's a really great date idea as well. What about Broadway tickets for cheap? You've probably heard of the TKTS booth, but did you know about lotteries and SRO, also known as standing room only tickets? Check any show that you're interested in seeing, go on their website, especially if it's red hot or sold out, and they almost all have some kind of lottery system or standing room only deals day of the show. Some of these are digital lotteries, other times you actually have to go line up, and I've met people who would spend one morning trying to get rush tickets to a few shows, and they'd come up with some crazy steals. You could also try with the Today Tix app. In fact, I recommend you download it right now. They also offer some really nice discounts. Even though we've mentioned this a lot on the channel, taking the tramway to Roosevelt Island from Midtown is still not known to the majority of tourists to New York. Seriously, for the cost of a subway tap, $2.90, you get to soar above the city and then land on Roosevelt Island. We did an entire video dedicated on what to do there with a lifelong resident, but there's some hidden treasures on that place. Most notably, all the viewpoints of Manhattan and the peace and quiet it offers so close to the hustle and bustle. I don't even visit there enough, which is sad, but riding a city bike around that place is pretty tough to beat for a nice morning or leisurely afternoon activity. Could this be New York's most underrated attraction? It's amazing how many world cities have a famous cemetery that has a storied history, that has many celebrities resting there, and it's a can't-miss destination. Well, Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn was one of New York's most popular attractions and has generally fallen out of view even by locals. The views of the skyline are fantastic and the architecture is absolutely stunning. If this were in Manhattan, I'm convinced it would be way more popular. Take a tour or check out all the programming that goes on there year-round, such as movies and even concerts. A little observation deck hack for you. If you hate touristy observation decks, I get it. Some rooftop bars do offer amazing views and you just have to buy a drink. Now, we did mention Overstory before if you want that classy date experience, but the one that I actually get the most DMs about from happy viewers is at Beast and Butterflies in Times Square. That's a unique view that even Top of the Rock couldn't give you because you stare right at the bright lights. Go at night for maximum effect, and this one is great because children are allowed up there as well. Free kayaking. This is amazingly popular with locals and not as well known by tourists, but New York has some great free kayaking programs. The most famous one is at Pier 26 on the Hudson River. My personal pick, though, is the one at Brooklyn Bridge Park, as the views are unreal. It's offered on Wednesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday and Sunday afternoons during the season. Both do recommend reservations, although you could get lucky if you just show up. This is something a whole family could even do together and is way different than a typical New York afternoon activity. You get about 15 or 20 minutes. You want to save some money on New York hotels and don't stay in Midtown Manhattan. The best deals are in the outer boroughs, which in this case we're referring to Brooklyn and Queens. The one area I've actually had a bunch of friends who are visiting the city quite impressed with the quality, price, and location was downtown Brooklyn, because you're only a few stops away from Manhattan, and for whatever reason, the prices are really fair. Long Island City, Queens is another spot that I've had friends stay at who are happy with, and if we're talking time of year, usually right after New Year's, the second week or so of January is actually the cheapest time of year to come here for hotel prices, although be prepared for some cold. For the least crowds at observation decks, be the first one for admission. You can pre-book tickets for all of the observation decks, pick the earliest slot possible, and this is actually quite easy to do. Ditto for the Statue of Liberty. I've heard the lines lately are super long, so going early and knocking it out will ensure the boat isn't full as well. And as I always say, visiting the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island can easily eat up half a day, so going early on is never a bad idea. And make sure to buy your tickets in advance. not with any random resellers outside. Here's how you save money on sporting event tickets. Now, New York has had some really good teams lately. The Rangers, the Knicks, the Yankees are playing well. Tickets to some regular season games can be pricey, and while it's easiest to save money on baseball tickets because they have the longest season, my top advice to save money on a hot ticket is wait till the day of the game. And if you're feeling patient enough, go to the stadium or arena, then right before the game starts, check the StubHub app. People will be way more desperate to dump their tickets, and you can get some really great deals this way. Sometimes you don't even need to do this. Just check a few days before, and you may even get a better price than at the box office. Again, this works best for baseball. Sadly, finding a bathroom when you need it in New York is like trying to find Waldo in a black and white photo. Impossibly tricky. I always advise using the facilities before you leave your hotel, at any attraction, or after a meal, but sometimes nature calls at the worst moments. I get it. So these are the spots I would look for a public bathroom. Any hotel lobby is by far the easiest. Bryant Park has the cleanest public bathroom in the city. The M&M store is one that most people don't realize on the top floor has some nice bathrooms. And lastly, I would say any bar or some restaurants would work as well. Are you planning on coming to New York last minute and want to save some money? Well, the app Hotel Tonight is a very good one for those last minute travelers. I've seen this generally work best if you're only staying for one night and you just scroll the app, you see all the hotels with major price cuts because the rooms probably aren't going to be used. I actually did use this once when our flight got canceled in Rome, but if you live within a couple of hours or in the tri-state area and are just thinking of a last minute trip into New York, this is a handy application to definitely save you some money, so put it on your phone. All right, you need to try the most famous street food in New York, and that is halal, which is typically lamb, chicken, or beef over rice with some kind of white sauce or any sauce. I've heard too many horror stories of my viewers just randomly trying a hot dog and not having a very tasty experience. You are far better off randomly buying halal from a vendor than a hot dog. Although if you want my all-time favorites in Manhattan, that'll be Adele's, but their lines are super long. But I also recommend Royal Halal, which is a few blocks away and almost never has much of a line. Their chicken tikka plate is my favorite, but either way, don't leave New York unless you've tried at least one halal cart. If you don't have the time to hit the outlets in New York State, Century 21 in Lower Manhattan is an amazing option. Now, this was closed for 3 years after the pandemic, but it reopened in 2023. And across its 4 floors, you'll find everything from men's clothing, women's clothing, children's apparel, footwear, handbags, housewares, and some authenticated vintage items. And they even made it over a little bit. They have a self-checkout now. They have New York City-focused gifts. This is an alternative if you don't want to go to any of the outlets like Jersey Gardens or Woodbury Commons. Those will provide ultimately the best deals, but they're also going to eat up half of your day, so really factor in how important that big shopping trip is for you. If you want to get cash back at tons of NYC restaurants, this is an app I even use myself. It's called Seated. It's really simple. You just pick a participating restaurant on the list, and there's tons of them in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens, and whatever the percentage is, you get that back on your bill. I've seen it as high as 21% before, and you get the money instantly. The coolest part is you can buy gift cards with it, like Airbnb, Uber, there's a lot of others. And if you want a $10 bonus added to your first meal, use my code JOHN28. New York has so much public art where you don't even have to pay for a museum. And I'm not talking about street art, which is its own thing. You can find all of it, including temporary and permanent exhibitions on this site, which breaks them down by type. So if you're a Civil War fan and want to see all 31 monuments, just click there and you'll find out about Abraham Lincoln's at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn, or the 11 Latino monuments. Have some fun with it. See if you can add any of these to routes you're going to be taking around the city anyway. Sitting in the conductor's car on the subway. I love bringing this one up for safety purposes because I even use this myself. If you want to sit in the same subway car where the conductor's going to be, all you have to do is look for the black and white zebra board, or as it's called, the indication board, usually against a wall near the center of the platform or hanging down. And that's where the conductor's car will stop and he'll point outside. You can also ask him a question if you're lost, so it really serves a dual purpose. All right, here's how you save money at a deli. If you go to any of the famous Jewish delis like Katz's, Sarge's, which is my pick, Second Ave Deli, the pastrami sandwiches are well over $20 each. But they're huge and an easy share for 2 people unless you're absolutely starving. I hear too many of my viewers get shocked about how big they are and realize they probably should have shared one and they don't want to lug it around all day to take back to their hotel. I could personally handle one myself, but it also means I might not be eating anything for the rest of the day. So factor that in if you're going to one of these legendary spots, and don't be afraid to share the sandwiches. All right, here's a must visit, the New York Public Library and the Polanski exhibition. And while I think visiting the library is pretty common knowledge among many tourists, not all realize that the Polanski exhibition is now permanent, and this is one of the best exhibits in the entire city, absolutely for free. They have the original Winnie the Pooh bear in there and a lot of other famous artifacts like a signed copy of the Declaration of Independence. You could easily spend a half hour inside. This may be the best free rooftop view in New York, and yeah, we really harp on rooftops on this channel because there's no better way to get a feel for just how big New York is. And going right across the street from the public library to the Stavros Niarchos Library and visiting their rooftop is a requirement. It is such a hidden gem and was actually my favorite item on my 50 best free things to do in New York video. So if you need more ideas of free things to do, go watch that as well. What's the best way to get data on your phone in New York? Well, if you're visiting the city from overseas, I recommend getting an eSIM. These are amazing because you can download them in advance with a QR code and have them ready to go before you even touch down at the airport. You can also use WhatsApp with them. They're a great alternative to having to go to a local carrier and getting a SIM card or paying a lot in roaming charges. My personal pick is Olafly. See my link in the description if you want to get 5% off yours. Here's a great cheap breakfast hack. If you go to just about any deli or bodega as they're known locally, you're almost guaranteed to find a cheap breakfast. A bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on a roll is the iconic breakfast sandwich of New York and definitely won't break the bank. They're usually $3, $4, $5. If you want to eat more and have a sit-down meal, a lot of the classic diners still offer really good deals. My 2 favorites are Pearl Diner in Lower Manhattan and the TikTok Diner in Midtown. I know some tourists, when they go somewhere, just want to hit the main attractions, and there's others who want to live like locals, and the local New Yorkers need to get out of their small apartments to go to events and activities. The Skint is my favorite site. They have a great email newsletter as well. For anyone who's just moved here, they don't miss anything. All the festivals and street fairs and openings you can handle. Like, I saw the only Greek Jewish festival in the world that happened on May 18th. Time Out New York is a bit more limited, but their website does highlight some cool events and shows as well. I would look at both of those during your trip if you want some local activities. Cash is king. Now, this isn't as true as it was before COVID, but I still run into plenty of eateries that are cash only. A lot of the hole-in-the-wall spots, in fact, some of the best ones in Chinatown, are cash only. It's not that big of a deal to find ATMs, but I always recommend you have at least 40 or 50 bucks in your wallet, just in case you stumble onto something really cool and want to pay for it right away. New York is a walking city. Do not bring new shoes here. Break them in before your trip. If you're not used to walking a lot, pace yourself. Practice before you come here. Last thing you want is heel or ankle pain after 3 or 4 days of walking 5 to 7 miles. Remember, the city is best seen on foot. If you're coming from somewhere where you drive everywhere, prepare yourself. And speaking of walking, depending on what country you're from, this may surprise you or maybe not, but every New Yorker will cross the street without a walk signal if there's no incoming traffic. Or sometimes I even see them jogging to avoid said oncoming traffic. Jaywalking tickets are almost unheard of here, although don't blame me if you're the 1 in a million that actually gets one. But when you get to Midtown, you'll see people are not waiting to cross if they get the opportunity, and you can feel free to join them. This may be a hack to save you some time sifting through my channel, because as far as food is concerned, my viewers' all-time favorites I keep hearing about are 2 places: Bleecker Street Pizza and the Nonna Maria slice, and a hot dog from Billy's. I'm really not surprised by either, since a Nonna Maria is the perfect hybrid slice between a Neapolitan and a New York one, with fresh ingredients and that Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. And then finding a hot dog vendor who is actually gonna have a nice chat with you, ask where you're from, and provide a quality product isn't so easy these days, and that's where Billy, right next to Central Park, comes along and charms all those who stop by. Bring your own bag. Plastic bag bans are a big deal here, so you'll have to keep paying at supermarkets for their bags. I personally make a point to buy a really cool tote bag while you're here, or bring one from home if you're gonna do any kind of grocery shopping. Otherwise, you're gonna have to keep paying for new ones. I just want to remind everyone that it's okay to be a tourist. This isn't a travel hack per se, but a mindset thing. I know everyone wants to be a local when you visit New York, but if there's an attraction or 2 or 3 you really want to do, go do them. I've visited almost every attraction in the city, and some of them are one of a kind. Attraction passes are useful if that's your top priority. Don't let anyone tell you to skip the touristy stuff and only live like the locals, even me. There's a reason New York is one of the most visited cities in the world. There's enough to keep you busy here for days if you just want to see the attractions as a tourist. I've actually gotten this tip from a few of my viewers. After COVID, many iconic and popular restaurants allow you to do to-go orders. Kat's Deli is the one I keep hearing about, but there's many others. So even if the spot isn't famous and you're in a rush, place a pickup order on the way back to your hotel. You can do this with DoorDash, Uber Eats. Because remember, if you place an order for delivery, expect at least a 30 to 45 minute wait for most restaurants. So if you do a pickup order, you're gonna save yourself time, and you may save a really long line if it's a spot that's very famous. Here's a great way to save money on takeaway. It's called Too Good To Go. It's super popular with locals, but many tourists have not heard about this app, and how it works is you check it for restaurants or eateries nearby who have extra food, and the app is all about saving food waste, so it can be for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they give you what's called a surprise bag. It costs like $4 or $5, and you pick it up at the restaurant. You don't know what's in there, but I've heard stories of full meals. Sometimes it's a sandwich, a lot of pizza spots will do it, and you're saving yourself easily $10 or $15. Do this for a few people. If you are on a shoestring budget, this could be a very cheap way to eat in the city. Do not sleep on Washington Square Park. I used to live right by there. If you need to kill an hour just to relax, the spot is perfect. And they always have live music going on somewhere, and even if they don't, it's the heart of the village, and people watching will be tremendous. You will definitely be entertained, that I can promise you, but I will warn you about the constant smell of marijuana there. City Mapper, another game-changing app. Definitely download it before you come to New York. I prefer it to Google Maps because it just feels a bit more intuitive to me. My favorite feature is that you can even see which subway car to take, so you're closest to the exact exit that will put you on the street that you need. Perfect for my fellow Type A personalities watching. I know that's many of you, so give it a look. New York has so many different types of pizzas. I want to make sure you try something old school, like a plain slice at Luigi's in Park Slope, or even a Joe's worst case in the Village. Then try something new school, like Linda Street in Williamsburg, I don't know, the burrata slice, or Almano's on Canal Street in Manhattan, or my boy Dave's Slices at Philomena's in Queens, where they ferment the dough for a couple of days. New York is having a moment right now with its pizza, so you can honestly find the best of all worlds right now. If you're a pizza fan, go wild exploring. All right, tips for traveling with small kids, which I don't touch on enough on this channel. If you're traveling with small children, not all subways are accessible. Not all of them have elevators, and even if they do, they won't always be functioning. So make sure you bring a super compact, foldable stroller because you may need to take it down the stairs, and if you're by yourself, you may need to have your child either holding your hand or in your arms when you do so. Now here's a little bonus tip. The Met is actually free for children 12 and under if they can handle an art museum, and they have a new active play and a learning center called the 81st Street Studio, which is under the Met, completely free. There's also tons of playgrounds all over Manhattan and Brooklyn if they need a break, and I'm sure they will. Dress up for summer. If you're somebody that is sensitive to the cold, listen up because we're not talking about winter. Even in the summer, it can be cold in New York because due to American culture, we have AC everywhere. Broadway theaters can be cold in the audience. Even the subway sometimes inside can get a little bit chilly. So if you're sensitive to air conditioning, bring something light to cover up because even my mom complains about the air conditioning in restaurants every time she visits New York. Be prepared for this. This isn't so much a hack, but a friendly reminder that there's a lot of negative publicity about New York lately with crime, because it gets clicks. This is still one of the safest big cities in the US. The best advice I have for you is if you see someone looking like they're acting unstable, remove yourself from the situation. Cross the street, move away on the subway, switch subway cars at the next stop. Always pay attention to your surroundings. You'll have a great trip, but you have to keep your wits about you here. The biggest thing to look out for is somebody acting unstable, either due to drugs or mental illness, and removing yourself from those situations. I gotta give a big shout out to Atlas Obscura. I love, love, love this website. If you wanna know where I find a lot of the hidden gems from my videos, their site and book is where I turn to. So if you get bored with the ordinary, look at their page. They've only got 755 quirky things to do in New York that you really won't find in many guidebooks. Heck, use them in any city you visit to have a little more fun. I've heard countless stories of how this strategy has unearthed hidden treasures, but pick one morning or one afternoon and just explore a neighborhood. The great thing about New York is every neighborhood could be its own city. Too many people cram their itineraries and leave nothing to chance. Let the city inspire you a little bit. Just roam around the city staring at buildings or walk into a cafe or a random shop you've never heard of. Thank me later.
Are you tired of the same boring dates in New York? Today we'll take you through 3 amazing ideas for couples that are perfect for visitors and locals alike at 3 different price points. You don't want to miss this. Now it is someone to actually take on these 3 dates, and who better than my lovely wife Adriana, who's helped out so much at home with our 7-month-old Alexander. You ready to rock?
Oh my god, I'm so excited for this date. I'm so happy to be back to the channel, and I think this is the amazing opportunity for me to do it because I'm super excited.
Since this is the budget date, we're gonna pick a deli right here. Never even went inside, find a cheap lunch to go. All right, we spent approximately $21 on lunch for 2. And I think we actually could have gone cheaper if we went to a different deli, but still excited for this picnic. I got 2 tickets for Governor's Island, $4 round trip each. We don't come here often enough, it's just a 10-minute boat ride.
Yes, we should do it more often.
We really should. We don't need this video as an excuse to go on dates, do we?
Definitely do.
So for those who don't know, Governor's Island is 172 acres long, and it used to be a Coast Guard base. How you can come here any time of year, literally to escape the city. One of my favorite spots in New York. This is still part of Manhattan, but it honestly doesn't feel that way. QCNY Spa opened here last year. $98 is the lowest rate you can pay for 3 hours to get access to saunas, pools, amazing views of Manhattan. But this is the budget option of the video, so I'm sorry. I was actually afraid that the spa was gonna take up all the good picnic space, but there's a little spot of land here that we've always picnicked at in the past with just a $1 million view of lower Manhattan.
Never gets old.
I'm amazed how few tourists even know about Governor's Island. I've lived in New York a dozen years, and even I need to film this right now. I have to admit, I like Lower Manhattan a lot more when I'm not in it, when I'm just observing it. I don't know if you can get a better view of Lower Manhattan than being front row here at Governor's Island, really.
Front row.
If you're on a budget, Governor's Island packs a serious punch.
This feels really nice because I feel most of the time I'm with the baby in the apartment, and if we go out, I'm so focused on the baby that I don't really get to enjoy the place where I live. And I know I shouldn't say this is such a mom comment, but I can't wait for our son to be able to come into these adventures with us.
I can't wait till Alexander can ride a little tricycle here. They have nicer bikes available on the other side of the island, but City Bike is so simple, $4.49 for 30 minutes, and you don't really need that much more if you just want to get a lay of the land. I rent a City Bike every time I come to Governor's Island. You have this epic view of the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island right in front of you. It's like you can reach out and touch them. Of all the dates on the video, this one would actually be best, even by yourself. If you want to take yourself on a date, come to Governor's Island. All right, what's the verdict on the date?
Oh my God, that was so fun. I also did exercise.
You exercised too, and it cost $19 a person. We got an hour of exercise.
You can pick whatever you want to eat.
You can eat whatever you want, bring whatever you want. Definitely one of the best budget dates you can do in New York, and one of my favorite places in the whole city to have a bike ride. While I'm really good at coming up with date ideas, is anyone else out there struggling with finding the perfect gift for their wife, girlfriend, or partner? I'd like to thank the Swedish beauty tech brand Ferry for partnering with me on today's video. Now, Adriana works so hard at being not just an artist, but a great mom to Alexander. She doesn't always have the time to pamper herself. That's where Ferry saved me. They have a lot of different professional-like beauty devices for home use, but I got her the UFO 2 supercharged facial device because she deserves it.
This device is gonna give you a massage. It's really relaxing on your face. You put the mask right here and then you put it around your face. But the cool part is that you can customize it here with the app they have.
It holds so many features in just one small tool, professional level treatment from the comfort of your own home at a smaller cost.
Oh my goodness, it makes me sleepy too. Like prepares me for bed, so I like it at night.
So if you're like me and struggle to find the perfect gift for your significant other, I highly recommend the UFO 2 device. Adriana's absolutely in love with it. Details down below in the description. If you're looking for a unique tasting menu that you can't really find anywhere else in New York City, you've got to check out Plu inside of the Ali Ali Market. Now they have a Mexican tasting menu with an optional alcohol pairing. Super, super good for a date. Let's go check this out.
If you're gonna be down in New York City, the Chelsea area, I welcome you to come eat at Plu. Specifically our Lucky Nights, which happen on Fridays for now. We're doing them weekly. We're French trained, but like working at Per Se meant like $1,000 tab at the end of the day that I couldn't even afford to eat. So we have the training, but we also want to bring people in and give people that experience at half the price.
To say hi, we have a little welcome shop for you guys. We have oysters, but instead of doing the actual oyster, we did a little bit of tuna tartare.
Some sal de gusano right here, and a tartare. Oh my God, my mouth went to heaven and came back.
There's a lot of thinly sliced radish. I can encourage you to do it with your hands, get dirty.
My favorite thing about this, outside of seeing you enjoying it, is we have the chef and the owner telling us everything we're eating.
My tongue wasn't born for that. So I'm really happy he's here to explain what we're eating.
We're a married couple with a kid that needs a night out.
Yes, and then you just get a little bit of amount of alcohol, so that's perfect for parties. Like
Yeah, not too much, just right.
just enough.
Hey, we were swimming 2 days ago. We steam it with a pasanta. We get it fresh from the Mexican market. And it's essentially a very like herbal leaf that emits a lot of like aromatic tones.
I like how they explain how they go to local markets to pick up all of the ingredients, like the hake here. This actually impressed me. Something that's been very underrated about today's experience. You don't have to drink, of course, it's optional. They're really thinking about the flavor profile with the drinks of what you're eating. 2 types of dry-aged duck here, and they were explaining how this is that genesis between French and Mexican cuisine. They have the background working French kitchens. So succulent, so tasty, with a little bit of this mole sauce. Let me get this too, homemade puree. Oh, and normally you feel like you have to go to some stuffy French restaurant, some upscale spot to get this, but no, right here in a food hall. She told me she doesn't like duck, for the record. She said, I'm not a duck person. Are you converted with this?
Totally. It looks really delicious, but it has also this one, which is obleas, which is kind of like a Mexican candy, which is very similar to the one you get if you're Catholic. It's the one you get at church every Sunday from the priest. It melts in your mouth.
Did I just have my first communion? Is this my food communion? I don't know.
You're officially Mexican.
I'm officially Mexican. You picked a good video to come back for, I have to say.
I'm so glad to be back for this video, guys. You have no idea.
You're back for a really good video. Dates?
If you've been here from the beginning, you know that I'm loving this episode so much.
The Bateau New York Premiere Plus Dinner Cruise with City Cruises. If you've got a big moment to celebrate, this is where I'd send you. Departs from Pier 61 at Chelsea Piers. Pure class. We've done this before, actually.
This is pretty romantic. I liked it the first time we did it, and now that I'm back, I am so excited to do it again, and you will see why.
It feels like we're on a French river cruise in Paris. We got a welcome champagne toast. The nice thing about this cruise is that your dinner is included in the price, 3 courses. Yeah, we got sunset in like 30 minutes, so tonight's timing is really good.
First course, caprese skewers, cherry tomatoes, mozzarella.
Who needs a rooftop when you got views like that? You get full access to the boat. You can literally jump out whenever you want. I think that's the best part of this cruise.
Definitely, the view, it's awesome.
I got a crab soup. I feel like I'm at some fancy wedding right now. That's the vibe I got. Even if you don't enjoy the food, which I think you will, I mean, just to turn your head, it's kind of crazy.
This is my favorite part, one of my favorite parts, going under the Brooklyn Bridge.
We're literally under the Brooklyn Bridge right now. After our son's birth, I think this is the nicest video we've seen on her phone. That's a good thing about drinking right now. Wine warmed us up for this. Now, while this is the most expensive thing we're doing on the video, do you agree that this is actually a really good value when you think about it?
Yes, it is. You don't just pay for the food, you pay for the view and the whole experience.
And I've had a lot of viewers ask me in the past, where would be a good spot to do a proposal? This is one of the places I tell people would be proposal worthy.
You can propose again if you want.
Yeah, we're already married, but like maybe here actually would be the spot. Just like right now. Take notes, gentlemen. I got sea bass. I was thinking, all right, we're on the water. It's my entree here. This is what it's all about. Out on the East River, all of Manhattan that way, nice seafood. That's what it's all about.
Life is good.
Life is good. I have to say, seeing the Statue of Liberty this late at night with not another boat in front of us is pretty surreal.
I know.
It's like we own.
Beautiful.
It's like we own New York City. You want to spoil your date rotten? Do this. It would not be a complete dinner cruise without dessert. So what's your verdict on this elegant date?
Very, very romantic. The view, I don't think you can get better than that. Like, there is no way you can get better than that. So it was one of my favorite dates ever.
I have to say, for like a special occasion, once in a lifetime in New York, Check them out.
Oh my god, yes.
Over the next 4 days, I'm gonna show you every important thing you need to see and do while visiting New York City. But the best part is, as long as you watch this video all the way to the end, you won't have a single moment of stress because I've planned out everything just for you. I've spent over a decade living here, and there are 3 important things first-time tourists need to know. Bring comfortable sneakers or walking shoes. You will need them. Nothing will ruin your trip faster than sore feet. You don't have to buy a Metro card anymore. All subways and buses take Omni contactless payment. Simply have a tap to pay enabled on your phone or a credit card with a chip. Tap it on any bus or subway entrance and you're set. And unlike London or Tokyo, you pay one flat fee, no tapping out required to exit. Check the weather forecast daily, including the hourly, because the weather here can change fast with the wind, rain, and humidity. Don't forget your umbrella. And there's one thing you need to know on day 4 of your trip that could ruin the whole thing if you're not careful. Talk more about that later. Day 1 will be concentrating on Midtown Manhattan. If you're ambitious, you could walk this entire route. For breakfast, a few options at different price ranges. TikTok Diner, right across the street from Penn Station. This place is that wild American diner you've seen in the movies. Open 24 hours, you could probably split one of their insane pancake or French toast plates between 2 people. Breakfast starts at $9.95 for 2 eggs any style and range up to $20. This place is a staple in Midtown and a viewer favorite. If you're on a tighter budget and just want something grab and go, Best Bagel and Coffee is a nice option. 2 eggs on a bagel starts at $5.95, and a bagel with cream cheese starts under $5. I recommend an everything bagel with scallion cream cheese for a true New York experience. Feeling a little more adventurous, Margon is a Cuban restaurant that's a bit of a hidden gem. Just a block from Times Square, they've got a very potent Cuban coffee and huge breakfast platters starting at around $10. This place is a vibe. But from breakfast, walk to Times Square and take it all in. I recommend Father Duffy Square as a starting point to snap some photos near the Big Red Steps. This is probably the most famous destination in the United States. This could also be the moment if you want to go to a Broadway show during your trip to line up for the TKTS booth for discounted show tickets. Don't linger too long, as this is also where almost every tourist scam in New York occurs. We have an entire video dedicated to this, but if anyone tries handing you a CD, a bracelet, or Spider-Man asks to take a photo with him, keep on walking and don't make eye contact. Trust me. This is your first opportunity, but not your last on this itinerary for souvenir shopping. Grand Slam actually has affordable t-shirts, keychains, and other trinkets, which could be perfect to buy. If you're looking for the I Love New York theme, they're the spot to load up. You are less than a 10-minute walk to Bryant Park, and from late October to early March, it's home to the Winter Village, which is the best seasonal holiday market in the city, but it's also one of my favorite parks. Perfect for relaxing at a table, people watching, and soaking in New York. And a little bonus, it has the Big Apple's cleanest public restroom. You could practically eat off the floor in there. A bonus next to Bryant Park is the New York Public Library. This could be one of the best free things to do in the city. My wife and I love wandering this library between the reading rooms and the hallways. It's like being inside a free museum. And speaking of free museums, their Polanski exhibition on the ground floor is practically like walking into one. The original Winnie the Pooh, the Declaration of Independence, all on display inside. At this point, it's time you experience one of the city's best tourist attractions, an observation deck. Now, if you're absolutely on a shoestring budget, across the street from the library is the Stavros Niarchos Library, and they have one of my favorite free secret spots in the city on the 7th floor, a rooftop terrace that's open to the public and can scratch that skyscraper itch. But I say you take it one step further. My top pick, Summit 1 Vanderbilt. I visited all 5 of the paid observation decks in New York, and this one is my favorite. I even went before it opened to the public and talked to the artist Senzo Digital who designed it, and the rooms with reflecting glass depend on the sunlight or lack of it to change the experience. So you could go more than once and have a completely different time. I love how surreal it is, and the views from the outside aren't bad at all. For $20 extra, you can ride Ascent to the top, although I don't even think it's necessary. My second favorite observation deck is Top of the Rock. If the weather is nice, there's no beating it. At only 70 floors up, it is the shortest of the observation decks, so you'll feel more immersed in Midtown Manhattan. Tickets start at just $40, so it's also one of the least expensive options, and they added a new attraction called Beam, which lets you feel what it was like to be one of the builders of the skyscraper. Definitely not for those with a fear of heights. After your observation deck adventure, stroll over to Grand Central Terminal, New York's most beautiful transit hub. This is a must visit, and if you want to learn even more about it, join the official Grand Central Tour by Walks Tours, where you'll find out about the history and stories that make this one of New York's most iconic locations. Use this QR code to book it right now, as they tend to fill up fast. You've probably worked up an appetite. For lunch, here's a few options. You could walk downstairs and check out Grand Central's food court, which has quite a large selection. My favorite taco chain in New York, Los Tacos #1, has one of their 6 locations right across the street from Grand Central. Their Adobada pork tacos are my top pick, and even my Mexican wife, Adriana, is obsessed with them. At $5 each, they're not cheap, but worth it. The best street food in New York are at halal trucks, and Royal Halal is a bit of a sleeper. Their Bengali-style chicken tikka over rice for $9 is a steal, and one of my favorite grab-and-go lunches in Midtown. This would cost double inside a nicer restaurant. After lunch, walk or subway up to Central Park. Start at 59th Street and Columbus Circle. Listen, you could spend an entire day roaming Central Park. I've done it. It runs over 50 blocks. You don't need to as a first-timer. Just soak it in a little. I'd advise walking to Sheep's Meadow to see the lawn and skyline views behind it. And also explore the area around Bethesda Terrace and walk in the arcade to see the archways and the only ceiling in the world that has Minton tiles. The fountain and pond are always a peaceful sight as well. We have an entire video dedicated to exploring Central Park if you need even more ideas. If you're not exhausted after all of this, a 15-minute walk away, you could add on the Met, one of the world's premier art museums. Admission, $30. And if you want to know how to see it quickly, we shot a video with my old art history professor, and he's gone weekly for decades. But you could spend an entire day inside if you wanted. It's one of the cultural gems of the city. Here are some dinner options in the Midtown area. Sarge's Deli. This is my all-time favorite Jewish deli, and it's not named Katz's. Sarge's has a way more local vibe, and their pastrami and corned beef sandwiches are massive. But they actually have tons of different diner options, so soak in this local icon in Murray Hill that isn't swarmed with tourists. Easy Paella and Tapas. This is a quirky dinner choice in Hell's Kitchen. This fusion of Venezuelan and Spanish food has the city's only paella burrito, but their tapas and sangria are fantastic. It would make for a cozy little date night too. John's of Times Square. This is not the only pizza spot I'm mentioning in the video, but it's the only one that's inside of an old church, and their location just a few blocks from Times Square is perfect if you have show plans afterwards. And the pizza, delicious. Here are some nighttime options. Attend a Broadway or off-Broadway show. You won't be too far from most of the Broadway theaters if you decided to buy discounted tickets earlier at the TKTS booth or in advance before you arrived in the city. You could always save this for another night as well. You could head for a rooftop bar. My pick, Beast and Butterflies. Of all the rooftop bars I've covered in the last 5 or so years, this one has gotten the most attention from the viewers. Located inside the M Social Hotel past the lobby, they have a stunning view of Times Square and really tasty drinks and food to boot. Unique would be an understatement, and this may be the only rooftop bar I can think of where children are welcome. New York has plenty of jazz clubs, but Birdland really stole my heart. I've been back after filming there for my anniversary and recommend it to many of my friends and family visiting as well. You can even do dinner and drinks here if you'd like, as waiter service is included. The performers are top-notch. Today we'll be focusing on Lower Manhattan, or downtown as it's known by locals. Let's get moving with some cool breakfast choices. Our budget option is Leo's Bagels. This could be the most popular bagel spot in Lower Manhattan. I've seen long lines here. I recommend ordering in advance on their website to skip said line. A cream cheese bagel will run you $4.75. They're fresh, hand-rolled, and you won't be disappointed. Pearl Diner. This reminds me of the diners I grew up with across the Hudson in New Jersey. A little hole in the wall that's been around for more than 50 years. 10 to 20 bucks will go very far here. You'll enjoy the nostalgic vibes. We'll start at the saddest memorial in the city, dedicated to the day when the city changed forever, September 11th, 2001. The fountains lie where the two buildings used to stand. It's a spot for reflection, so please, no smiling selfies. As an extra add-on, you can go to the National September 11 Museum, and I had never gone until this past year. I've got to tell you, it brought back memories from decades ago. Admission $33, and I will warn you, some of it is graphic and realistic. They have tissue stationed in many of the rooms, so make sure you're prepared. But if you can handle it, it's an important stop to really understand what this city has gone through. The Oculus is one of the cleanest transit hubs in New York, and it looks like you're inside a spaceship. It's also home to a mall, which is very expensive, but at a minimum, I'd stop inside for a photo, as it's so aesthetically pleasing. Fun fact, Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava intended it to resemble a dove leaving a child's hands. Do you see it? A few photo spots for you that are nearby. Charging bull. There's always a line for this, but they say rubbing the bull's assets brings financial luck, but don't expect it to lower your hotel bill. Fearless Girl. I'm a fan of this statue, which was installed in 2017. Fearless Girl is meant to send a message about workplace gender diversity. You can also snap a quick photo of the New York Stock Exchange, which is the world's largest stock exchange, although they do not offer tours to the public. Not a lot of Americans even know about Federal Hall, which is where the United States began. On April 30th, 1789, George Washington was sworn in as the first president of the United States here, and it's a free museum now run by the National Park Service, certainly worth a visit for my history buffs out there. Now let's walk down to Battery Park. If you have kids or just a kid at heart, ride the Sea Glass Carousel, which is one of Manhattan's best little hidden gems. Just $6 for a spin in this mock aquarium. I've never seen anything like it. Walk over to the Staten Island Ferry, which is free. I want to reiterate, do not buy a ticket from anyone here. The boat leaves about every half an hour. Board and sit on the right side as you walk on, because you'll be passing one of the best views in New York, the Statue of Liberty. Absolutely for free. This is both a local and tourist favorite. The whole round trip will be about an hour. Once you arrive to Staten Island, just turn right around and reboard to head back to Manhattan. Now, I did not include a trip to the Statue of Liberty and Liberty Island here. You could totally do this in Ellis Island, but you'd eat up more than half a day. If you want to know how to do it, check out our video on the whole process right here. When you arrive back in Manhattan, go for a walk on Stone Street. The cobblestones are recreated for how New York looked back in the 1600s. This was home to the city's first breweries, and you can still stop for a beer at one of the many restaurants. It feels like Harry Potter world. Who's up for another hidden gem? This one is my favorite, the Elevated Acre, located just up the stairs at 55 Water Street, and it provides incredible views of the East River and Brooklyn Bridge. I've never taken anyone here who wasn't completely shocked that a little urban oasis could exist in the middle of the tall buildings of Lower Manhattan. Get ready to impress your friends or family. All right, it's time to regroup. We'll walk Uber or Subway to Chinatown, starting at Doyer Street. This is the most Instagrammable street in Manhattan, and it's also home to Bloody Angle, the sharp bend in the middle of the road. This was once a favorite site for assassinations by rival Chinese gangs, and today, it's home to some of New York's best Chinese food. Who's up for some lunch? Your first choice, tasty hand-pulled noodles. This could be Chinatown's best outdoor seating option with an amazing view, and it's hard to go wrong with any of their dumpling choices, which are affordable at around $7 for a plate. If you've never had rice noodles before, Tony's is an excellent place to begin. Also fast and affordable. I was introduced to this by my Chinese-American friends Ben and Ming, and I've been hooked ever since. Deluxe Greenbow. This is a local's pick for the best soup dumplings in Manhattan. The seating is communal style, and it's everything you'd want in a Chinatown experience. Fast service and delicious food. Order the steamed pork and crab mixed tiny buns starting at $9.95. This place is cash or Venmo only. If you have room for dessert after any of those spots, across the street is the original Chinatown Ice Cream Factory. An absolute staple in the neighborhood, and they have exotic flavors like lychee, so come open-minded to try something new. If you want to dedicate more time to Chinatown, we have an entire compilation video with hours of options. You could eat away an entire day here if you wanted. Time to walk off that food coma or subway taxi if you're tired to Soho. Starting at the Pearl River Mart, this legendary store has one-of-a-kind items imported from Asia. fashion, snacks, all at a great price. This is more fun to me than going on a shopping spree to some bougie, high-end shops on the same street, which if that's your jam, feel free because you'll be right there. Let's take a photo opportunity on Green and Grand Street. If Soho was characterized by a single street, I'd say this is it. So snap a picture to commemorate your quick journey through it. I'm gonna offer one more detour here. If you skip dessert in Chinatown or just want a unique gift to bring home, Dominique Antle Bakery is incredibly famous, and if you want coffee or some sweets, pop in and enjoy their unique creations, like the cookie shop. No alcohol, just a sugar rush. Or buy some of their sweets to take back home with you wherever you live. If you have any energy left, walk north through Greenwich Village and hit up Washington Square Park, which has always been a cultural mecca. You'll likely run into some live music, and for people watching, it's unmatched. And a fun Easter egg, you can see the Empire State Building through the Washington Square Arch if you look directly through it from the fountain. Take a break, you've earned it, because for dinner, I've got a wide range of choices tonight. Starting with Burger Joint. The late Anthony Bourdain was a big fan of this spot. Located inside the Thompson Central Park Hotel, it's a bit of a speakeasy vibe if you can find it. I love their burgers, though they won't come cheap at $12.25 for a single patty. But trust me, they're worth it, and the interior feels more East Village than Midtown. If you want to explore Koreatown, Kobe Q inside Food Gallery 32 is my wife Adriana's and my favorite fast Korean barbecue spot in the area. Their barbecue rice bowl with pork is our go-to, but there's a lot of variety and you can eat at one of the many other vendors as well inside the mall. Jongro is a sit-down Korean barbecue spot on a street with lots of them. The prices are competitive, and it's a nice group activity as all the meat is cooked for you by the staff. I recommend reservation in advance. If you want something a little more upscale, Linden's in Soho is so simple, yet the food is completely on point. They've managed to maintain a healthy menu with fresh food. My wife and I have had amazing experiences here. There wasn't a single item we didn't love. Here are some nightlife pairings to go with your dinner choices. If you have dinner in Midtown, hit up Rudy's Bar and Grill in Hell's Kitchen. This is my all-time favorite dive bar, open since 1933. The beer is cheap, their blonde ale is $3, and every drink comes with a free hot dog. Yes, a free hot dog. I love it. These prices are straight out of 2000. Plus, it's the perfect blend of local characters and tourists. If you want to explore the Village Underground is a legendary comedy club. I saw Pete Davidson here before he blew up, and you never know who's going to walk through those doors. If you do stay in the area, check out McDougal between Bleecker and West 3rd. Now, this is a younger crowd, but there's so many bars on this street, as well as late night eats, so you really can't go wrong if you want to party well into the night. Last call in New York, 4 a.m. On to day 3 of your New York trip, we've got 2 options for breakfast. Clinton Street Baking Company has been voted as one of the best brunches in the city, known for their pancakes, French toast, and other wild brunch-like creations. I highly recommend a reservation here in advance. Breakfast entrees run from $18 to $22 and are very Instagrammable. If you want something a bit quicker, a bit more authentic, Russ & Daughters is one of those iconic New York institutions that actually lives up to the hype. Walk in, grab a ticket, and then order a bagel with their Nova salmon. I'd go with a classic bagel and lox sandwich for $17. No, this is not cheap. Yes, this is absolutely worth it. They also have a cafe a few blocks away if you want a sit-down version of this. I now take a subway, taxi, or Uber to Pier 11 Wall Street. And very few guides are going to suggest this, but I want you to take the NYC Ferry for only $4. Download the NYC Ferry app to pay by phone. As you cross the East River, you will get an incredible look at the Brooklyn Bridge and arrive in about 5 minutes. You'll be right in the heart of Dumbo versus the subway, which will require a longer walk. And if you have more time and want to see even more ways to utilize the ferry, which is one of the most underrated things you can do as a tourist, watch my video on the topic. I encourage you to stroll around Brooklyn Bridge Park for all the photo opportunities with the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan skyline. It's truly one of the most beautiful areas of the city. And while you're there, head over to Jane's Carousel, especially if you have kids. I'm not sure there's a carousel in the world with a better backdrop. Built in 1922, this wooden 48-horse carousel is a masterpiece. All right, if you've seen that cliche photo of the Manhattan Bridge that everybody takes, it's right here at Washington and Water Street. I won't stop you from doing it, but no, you may have to jockey for position or just Photoshop everyone out afterwards. Only a few steps away from that photo spot cluttered with tourists is something I like way more, the Dumbo Walls, where local artists created 8 outdoor murals in a 4-block stretch. This is where you can get some really cool photos and support some local artwork at the same time. If you're a chocoholic or just want some really sweet gifts, Jacques Torres Chocolate is your spot. You can even order hot chocolate to carry on your way around Dumbo. Highly recommended. For lunch, there are so many tasty options in a small area, starting with Giuliana's Pizza. This is the original location that Patsy Grimaldi made famous. They use the same oven, which, as any local knows, is the most important thing. It is packed with tourists, but I do think it's one of those places that is worth it. You can wait in line to sit indoors, or just take a pie to go and eat it by the pier. They don't sell slices here, keep in mind, so this is perfect for sharing. Lucky Rabbit Noodles is quite literally a hole in the wall just under the Manhattan Bridge, and if you're a vegetarian, they have some incredible Asian fusion options. Seating is limited, but the taste certainly isn't. While I'm not generally a fan of the Time Out Market, Bark Barbecue on the top floor is an exception. Their Dominican Texas barbecue fusion is insanely delicious, albeit pricey, but if you want to try some American barbecue with a twist, it's worth waiting in their typically long lines for some of their famous brisket, which has taken social media by storm. And as an added bonus, walk outside on the Time Out Market rooftop for one of the best free views of Manhattan. After lunch, I want to encourage you to walk the Brooklyn Bridge back. The view is a lot nicer walking towards the Manhattan skyline for photos. This should take about 30 minutes. If you're exhausted or not in shape for this, you could easily take the ferry back to Pier 11 for only $4. After you cross the East River, you'll be about a 10-minute stroll to South Street Seaport. This historic area has some of the oldest buildings in the city and includes the largest concentration of restored early 19th century commercial buildings in New York. If you want a little hidden gem, go to Cannon's Walk. This hidden alleyway literally feels like you've stepped back into the 19th century. If you have a little extra time, head for Pier 35 and take a photo or video at the Pier 35 swings with the Manhattan and Brooklyn bridges perched in front of you. There's no view quite like it on the planet. Then head on a subway or Uber to the Roosevelt Island tram station. Or if you want to test out Revel, an all-electric car fleet, use this code for 70% off your first ride. Now, for the cost of a subway swipe, take the Roosevelt Island Skytram above the East River. This feels like an attraction, but you'll land on a small island that's technically part of Manhattan, but feels a world away. Walk the perimeter of the island or rent a city bike. Start at the Smallpox Memorial Hospital, which is a great example of Gothic Revival architecture and shows the dark history of the island. Other stops you should include are the Franklin D. Roosevelt Fort Freedom State Park, and at the northern tip of the island, the Roosevelt Island Lighthouse. If you want to spend even more time exploring the island, we have a whole video dedicated to it where we spent the day there with a local. Check it out. Now you can take the tram or subway back to Manhattan and finally take a break, or if you or your partner insist on some more shopping, there is a nearby Bloomingdale's, just throwing that option out there. This is a really exciting night with your dinner options. If you want to stay in the area, NR in the Upper East Side is part cocktail bar, part ramen haven. I've never seen a place like this. They're also known for their oysters. This is a great date night kind of vibe for my couples watching. If you need a nightcap in the area, head to UES, an ice cream shop that doubles as a speakeasy bar. Seriously, you could just get ice cream and have no clue. Walk in, say you want to see the storage room, and, well, they'll take you back to this Frank Sinatra-themed speakeasy with excellent libations. Any longtime viewer of this channel knows my devotion to Bleecker Street Pizza. This was my go-to slice shop in my decade living in the Village, and it's been a hit for many of my tourists watching because of the Nonna Maria slice. Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, fresh mozzarella, and large dollops of garlicky, tomatoey marinara sauce. I'm getting hungry just talking about this slice, but for a budget option, head here for a few slices or just buy a whole pie. If you're staying in the Village after dinner, head to the Folly. This was my favorite local bar when I lived just a few blocks away. It's themed after a ship, and it's on Houston Street, which is the perfect getaway to even more nightlife in the area. If you haven't realized it by now, I'm really into hidden places. Sakagura is inside an indescript building in Midtown, and down a set of stairs, you'll find this Japanese restaurant with authentic tapas-style Japanese dishes perfect for sharing. And they have 260 different kinds of sake, an incredibly memorable New York experience. Well, if you take it easy on the sake, that is. Here's an after-dinner drink and entertainment option not too far away. The Freaky Tiki is for my Broadway karaoke fans. A kitschy Hawaiian-themed bar with great food as well. And there's a host who sings, plays the piano, and takes your selections. You even have the opportunity to sing along as well. But if you want show tunes or just oldies, tip the host, and you're in charge. My wildcard pick for dinner, Ukrainian East Village restaurant. Imagine you had a long-lost Ukrainian grandma who invited you over for dinner. That's the vibe of this place, and the food is hearty and plentiful. Come with a big appetite for pierogies and more. Right next door is the Sly Fox. This is one of the best and oldest dive bars in the East Village. Cheap, no frills, and definitely a vibe. The perfect ending to a long but fun day. We're going to assume for the sake of this video that you're flying out day 4, so here's a half-day itinerary with a bonus. You know those rainbow bagels you've seen everywhere around New York or social media? Well, Tompkins Square didn't invent them, but they may as well have, because that's their vibe. They have all sorts of funky cream cheeses and bagel styles like the French toast bagel, which you just have to try, or the birthday cake cream cheese. Kids would love this spot as well. They have great breakfast sandwiches, if that's your thing. We've had some souvenir shopping options already, but First Team Vintage is just amazing. A small shop dedicated to New York and American sports jerseys, t-shirts, and jackets. If you want a cool souvenir to show off back home, this is where I would personally go get it. Remember I told you on the last day I had something you had to know about? It's this alley, Freeman Alley. Enter on Rivington between Bowery and Christie. This is what people think New York looks like in the movies when, fun fact, there's very few alleys like this in Manhattan. So you can pretend you stumbled onto something edgy when in truth, there's an expensive restaurant and art gallery here. Funny how that works. A bonus, if you have more time on day 4, I recommend taking a Harlem tour with Lawrence, one of the only people I've ever met who's lived in all 5 New York boroughs, and of course he grew up in Harlem. He is a gem and one of the best tour guides around, period. If you're flying out of JFK, fun little bonus as well, head for Terminal 5 and the TWA Hotel. It's like stepping back in time. You can just roam the lobby and see what it felt like in the golden age of flying.
New York's most iconic food spots are disappearing, and today we're on a mission to highlight them. These legendary family businesses have fed locals for generations. We're meeting up with 5 NYC food legends so we can find out what makes them truly irreplaceable. Only one problem, I don't have connections to these food icons, but I know someone who does. I'm joined with New York's unofficial talent scout, New York Nico, and we're starting at the Hot Dog King.
Right outside the Met Museum. You'll meet the Hot Dog King in a few minutes. He's been selling hot dogs for, I think, about 40 years now. He's got a very interesting story. I won't give too much away.
I'm Dan Rossi, the New York Hot Dog King.
How did you get into the hot dog business? Take us back to the beginning.
Oh boy. I was a sheet metal worker. One of the men in the shop had a heart attack and he asked me to make him a hot dog cart because he was going to retire. And when I got done with it, he felt better he wasn't going to retire. So we went ahead and tried to sell it. I sold it within 1 day. I doubled the money it cost me. So I built one, I built another. 10 years later, I had 499 carts on the street. I was the largest vending company in the history of New York City. Had a little problem with a guy named Donald Trump who opposed veteran vendors, and I'm a disabled veteran. I did a couple of tours in Vietnam. Me and him went head to head. He had Rudy Giuliani in his pocket. Next thing I know, I'm out of business.
I've heard that you've run into some trouble where you can't leave your spot.
Yeah. What's happening now, originally it was just having problems with the Met, but then it turned out where they started to reinforce the black market of the industry. They would hire these veterans that were down and out, tell them stories that they can take any spot they want. And one morning we came and they were plopped right here. They just picked them up off the street and they were just trying to muscle the spot. That was happening about 12 years ago. First 3 years what I did was I would set up a chair in the push cart and I would doze off. And then they passed the rule that you can't be in the push cart, so I ended up moving into the van. This is it. I just lay out some blankets and I go to sleep. It's kind of lousy.
It's crazy.
You know, I'd much rather be home in a bed.
What keeps you going
being willing to sleep in your car almost every night for years just to keep this one space.
It's a question of survival. When they came and they attacked me and took my company, they forced me into bankruptcy and homelessness. So I went from having a great life to having nothing.
On a more positive note, what are your favorite things about being a vendor here?
Oh, I love people. You can sit here, you can laugh all day long with some of these things. I mean, you get people that are arguing over whether it's ketchup or mustard.
Ketchup or mustard, what do you think?
Never put ketchup on it. But I do it, but in the beginning it was hard for me to do it.
Yeah. Danny, could you tell us a difference between how you do it and like a typical dirty water dog in the city?
You don't want to have dirty water dogs. I'll tell you why. The water sucks out the flavor. So in the beginning, you're getting a really cardboard hot dog, really. But at the end of the day, that water is actually dark brown green. The hot dogs, when you take them out, they're green.
Yeah.
And a lot of the vendors, what they'll do is they'll wrap them up and they'll sell them to somebody the next day. You want to stay far away from it. If you came here 6 months from now or a year from now, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get a better one because we're working on our own brand now. So you're going to get a better, yeah.
I haven't tried the New York, so I'll try that.
I'll do a New York also.
New York is nice. It's just mustard, sauerkraut, just a little bit onion. And that's New York. That's the best way to have a hot dog.
How much longer do you think you're gonna work here?
90 years old. Then I go to Alaska. I'm going to Pan for gold.
How old are you now?
75 in 2 days.
Happy early birthday. Yeah, happy early
Thank you.
We're gonna go eat these on the steps of the Met, just like a tourist would. New York style, sauerkraut, onion, mustard. Let's rock. It's got a really nice snap, very crunchy. What do you think sets this apart from like other hot dogs you've had?
The fact that it's grilled and the guy who's selling it to you. He's amazing personality, it just makes it taste better.
It's really the truth. When you like the person that's selling you the food, I think it does taste better. You're helping to support a disabled veteran. And he is in like the one spot that as a tourist, if you're watching, you're very likely to go to, the Met. He's right outside of the door. The man's got a story and he's extremely friendly. I mean, throughout everything he's been through here, been arrested before. And this is the type of person we're showcasing. We still got 4 more to go. A lot of interesting stories and a lot of reasons to keep coming to these businesses because they're not gonna be here forever.
He says he wants to work until he's 90. That's only another 15 years of the hot dog king. Gotta appreciate these places while they're still here. Good glizzy?
Very good glizzy. Nico, we've got Rosario's, one of my favorite little hidden gems in Astoria because it looks like an Italian deli from the outside, but on the inside, some of the best pizza in the city.
One of the best in the business.
Looks like a deli, smells like a deli.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Business has been around since 1986. I was down the block, I had a little shop, walked away from it. This opened up at the beginning of 2001. Nice size store, people could come in, have pizza. We have also some groceries, all Italian stuff.
What's your favorite thing about running this store?
I like food. I like talking to people. People say, oh, are you going to retire? I said, no, I'm not going to retire because I like to come here.
And what makes your pizza different than other spots?
My pizza is made with fresh mozzarella, which we make ourselves. The sauce we definitely cook. If you actually have a batch, we just made it.
Really good.
The American style is a lot of cheese. I personally want to be able to taste the sauce, the dough, and the cheese.
Which cheese is this?
There's a blend of pecorino here, some grana.
How many minutes does it cook for?
About 7 minutes. This is a traditional pie.
Oh, thank you so much. These look fantastic. I mean, Nico, we just saw the whole process, how they make their own mozzarella here.
How you pronounce mozzarella?
Oh yeah, I tried to get Italian there. The sauce made in-house. I mean, Rosario is just a legend. I think his pizza is so distinctive looking that if you were at an event, you would know this was a Rosario slice.
This one I feel like is super distinct. Also, there's not many pizza places that have the owner's face on the box.
Yeah, exactly. His face is also on t-shirts. A little Easter egg, if you were watching my Bronx Pizza video, Greg, my co-host, was wearing a Rosario shirt in that one. It would make for an amazing gift. This is definitely one of the better slices in New York. It's just the perfect balance of cheese to sauce.
So good.
I think in general, Queens does not get a good enough reputation for their pizza. They have so many amazing spots. I think
They really do.
Brooklyn and the city get way more attention.
It's also affordable. Less than $20 for an 18-inch pie.
Think about how many different shops this is in one. It's an Italian grocery store. It's a deli where you can get sandwiches and a pizza shop on top of that. They also have amazing drinks from Italy, like the Sicily Blood Orange Soda. I recommend you pair it with that. I know it's New York pizza, it's tough to rank, but you know, where does this sit for you?
Definitely top 10.
I gotta agree.
It's all about what you're in the mood for. But I'm always in the mood for this guy.
A lot of our legends today, they may be up there in years, but they don't want to slow down. Like, this is their life's passion. This is what they do. It's what they've been doing forever.
No signs of slowing down. No signs of slowing down. I only found out about this spot 6 or 7 months ago, so unfortunately, they didn't make it into my book. Keeps me up at night because it definitely is in my top 100.
Part 2.
Part 2, but yeah, this place is legendary.
Come for the pizza, stay for the t-shirt. All right. Nico, we're at Meisel's Chocolate in Midtown, and you could just blink and walk past this place, but that would be a big mistake, right?
That would be a huge mistake. The chocolate here, amazing. The curation, incredible. But the person who owns this shop, Camilla Meisel, is just a one-of-a-kind, such a sweetheart, knows her Can I curse?
Yes, you can curse.
She knows her stuff. The community loves her, and she loves the community back. Here we are.
All right, this reminds me of the chocolate shop from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where he goes and he buys the bar.
She decorates it every holiday. She's set up for Halloween. She takes a lot of pride in her decorating.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, pleasure. I came to New York in the beginning of 1980. We escaped from Poland, and 2 days later the martial law started, so the borders were closed, no communication with anybody. I came to Manhattan. A craziness every corner, yelling, people screaming, doing stuff. I stood up in a moment and I just said to myself, that's it. This is my city. I took over the shop in 1990. I'm from Europe, I'm from Poland. Everybody were cooking and baking. So I was watching this when I was a little girl. I have a photographic memory and it became a passion basically. During the COVID, no customers, I was alone in the shop. Yeah, I got in trouble with the landlord and I have difficulties to pay. A lot of people helped me. Brandon from Humans of New York opened for me the GoFundMe page. Also, Nico of New York, he advertised me. Joel Gergilo from NBC, they put me on the programs. This is such a deep and huge appreciation for people because people help me to continue and to stay over here.
So clearly you get a lot of visitors, right?
Yes, I do, and people really knows me. It's such a nice feeling. I love people, I love the connection with people, and it's the most important thing.
I'm curious, the chocolate, how much of this is baked in-house?
I bake all of my cookies. The truffles, I pay somebody else to do it for me, okay, because I don't have enough space. My favorite, dark chocolate pecans, hazelnuts, almonds, and then licorice. Licorice, I have over 100 different types of licorice. All of the licorice are different shapes. Each shape is going to taste different. You divide by unsalted and salted. I give you the canal houses. I like this one very much. And then I give you the herbal one. A couple of this one. This is spicy and slightly salted, okay?
Okay.
I give you some menthol licorice from Switzerland. Okay, here you go. And let me give you some chocolate. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just got 5-10 pounds of candy, and Nico, what an amazing woman.
Best, right?
Now we're gonna try some of these sweets on 6.5 Ave, New York's only hidden street. What's crazy is people come from all over the world for her licorice. She has licorice from so many different countries in there. I was dying to try some of her homemade chocolate. She just gave us a little bit of everything. I've never tried her chocolate.
So good.
It's really a lost art what she's doing in there because New York has plenty of candy stores, but how many of them are you gonna have the owner just sitting there and chatting with you?
There really aren't a lot of places like that in New York. She has stuff that you can't find anywhere else.
It's on the most unassuming street too. If she was closer to Times Square, I don't think she would have had any of those problems that she had. And you actually helped set up the GoFundMe.
We raised a good amount of money for her and she's very grateful. We're very grateful for her.
We all should be. That's like a true New York icon right there. I always love immigrant stories like that. Actually, it reminds me of my own mom. My mom's from Ukraine, so I know exactly what it was like. People who had to leave during the Cold War and restart their lives, and some of them have started tremendous businesses. She's just a prime example. Many of you are staying in Midtown Manhattan. If you walk in there, I promise you're gonna buy something. I promise you will find something unique, interesting, and tasty.
Go to Meisel's.
We've got Anthony and Son Panini Shop. This is a staple here in Williamsburg, and there's just tons of local characters here, right?
A good amount of the characters that you might recognize from my page came from Anthony and Son's Panini Shop. Irma, Charlie the Wolf, Big Joe Gambino, Mario, some really great Italian Americans.
All right, let's find some characters in there. That is a lot of sandwiches, a lot of paninis. I want to order the whole place.
That's an Italian shirt, sir. You can tell I'm an Italian place. I'm Antonio Curcio and I own Anthony & Son Panini Shop. I came here as a tourist in 1988. 5 years later, I started Anthony & Son. It was a little bit fruit store, a little bit at a time. We went to grocery, then we went to organic. We started making panini, and that's what we do today. My personal favorite is the FDNY.
Fine, I'll do Godfather, I'll do FDNY.
Okay. So first you do the garlic bread, then we do a little bit vodka sauce. We do chicken cutlet, fresh mozzarella, melted the mozzarella a little bit. You want spicy or sweet? Spicy. And that's the famous sandwich, FDNY.
Pretty simple.
That's the best. So we do a little bit oregano, a little bit garlic, a little bit crushed pepper, and a little bit olive oil. I slice one after another.
How many different types of meat is this?
That's 6 different Italian cutlets. That's the Godfather. Now, I put a fresh mozzarella, and you say you want spicy pepper, a little bit arugula. We're not done yet. Mortadella, prosciutto, and that's the last thing. That's the Godfather.
It's amazing how this used to be like an Italian store. They got sauces, they had everything you would need. Oh, we got plenty to eat right now. We got so much to eat. That guy knows what he's doing. I could just tell instantly. Nico opted for the healthy. I opted for the FDNY, the chicken cutlet, the mutts, the vodka sauce. So how many of these sandwiches have you had in your life?
A lot. I do eat here quite a bit.
Now that's a chicken cutlet. I mean, sure, you can find chicken cutlets all over the city, but with garlic bread, this amount of mutts and the vodka sauce.
They make the mozzarella here, they make the garlic bread here.
Like, this is standing out big time. Just one of these will put you to sleep. That's it.
I know. You can't eat the whole thing.
If I do, I gotta go take a nap right now. I'm telling you, vodka sauce on a sandwich is my kryptonite, man. I could never avoid it. So you've known this family for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony's a character,
Yep.
100%. I love guys like that, and they're sort of like the staples that can hold a neighborhood together, right?
Oh, for sure. You know, you have like Emily's Pork Store down the block. You have Carmine's. You have Model T Meats. It's still got that Italian old school charm.
Yeah, it's true. Spots like this are tough to come by. There are famous delis in New York still, but there's less and less of them. And then when you look at this quality, you know, that list goes even lower. There's gotta be like top 10 sandwiches I've ever had in New York.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, it's the kind of spot where I could see like transplants, little hipsters coming in, but old school people coming in as well.
That's exactly what it is.
Perfect balance.
The reason why you know it's good is because all of the city workers come here. Firefighters, cops, garbage men, they all come to Anthony & Sons. That's how you know a place is good.
Now, if you enjoy watching this channel, you probably like to know where to go in New York and who to support. Well, Nico has a new book called New York Nico's Guide to NYC.
Boom, there it is. A lifetime in the making. 100 of some of my favorite spots in New York. Whether that's food related or retail, it's all in here. It's great for tourists and locals alike. If you're a local, a lot of these spots, maybe you've had their food before, but you don't know the amazing backstory. So Brooklyn, you got a map of Brooklyn. All my spots are highlighted on there. And then boom, Anthony & Sons. Photos, history, tips. That's the FDNY that John just ate. And that's my dog, Toby. The book is just full of some of my favorite places in New York that I think everybody should experience.
I've covered a lot, but not all the places in that book, so I'm gonna personally buy it and I'm going to use it in future videos. If you'd like to pre-order, depending when you watch, or order it, because it's coming out shortly, QR code here, link down in the description. Great stocking stuffer for Christmas as well. Nico, we're at Lily's Baked Goods, and this is an absolute institution in Harlem, right?
So yeah, Lily's has been around since 1965. He's been making baked goods for that long. And he's, I believe, in his early to mid 80s, and he's still working every day. Not a lot of people like that anymore.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Let's check this out.
My name is Alvin Lee Smalls. I'm 82 years old.
Hi, my name is Kellen Tiller Smalls, and I am partner here at Lily's Baked Goods.
Lily, can you tell us about the history of first how you got into baking pergola?
Well, I found this recipe in the newspaper about 60 years ago, and with the little experience I had, I played with it around and do this, change that. And for my blessing, it came out this way.
How long have you been in this location here in Harlem?
This location, 25 years.
In the beginning, there were a number of different struggles that had to do with funding. Black business couldn't get funded. So we've endured that. Then we endured a lot of change that happened during COVID, where we were providing door-to-door service, straight from the store, straight to your door. We are a destination on many of the tourist list of things to do and get to. And we have a lot of neighborhood people. We have a lot of elderly people who've been with us for a very long time. We have an awful lot of Jewish patrons here that tell us that it's better than their bubbies. Alvin has created a dessert that fits in your hand and that many people who never knew what it was before now know what it is.
Well, everybody should have at least one. It's the best. Fresh, good ingredients. For 6 years, I used the same brand of flour. I use pure apricot, pure raspberry.
Everything's at a premium. It's a premium dessert.
All right, we got some goodies from Lily. You know, every time I go there, I get a smile on my face.
Great people, great baked goods.
You know, Lily does his hamantash and his rugula different than your average Jewish bakery. I'm Jewish, you're Jewish. I have to say, he has elevated the game with his style. Probably some of the best rugula I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah. His is always moist, it always tastes fresh.
Little raisin baked inside here, chocolate cream on top, like little sugar crystals baked in there.
Lily really knows what he's doing.
He's been baking since the mid-60s. He's been doing rugula since the 80s. I mean, to survive so many years in any location in New York, you have to be top-notch. New Yorkers are a picky bunch.
Yeah, he has a very, very devoted following. That's what gives a lot of these businesses their staying power, loyal customers.
That's how you stay alive in New York. The hamantash or the rugula.
The hamantash is great, but the rugula, there's like nothing better than the rugula.
Yeah. Lily is one of the last commercial bakers in New York making rugula. It's unique, it's different, you owe it to yourself to give them a try. On the other side of this door lies one of New York's best secret bars. Today we'll be uncovering some of the city's top hidden restaurants and speakeasies because the Big Apple's most exciting spots are often hiding in plain sight. We're gonna start with a little bodega under the Brooklyn Bridge that sells more than just groceries.
So you bring me here without context, I'll be like, okay, what are we doing here?
Actually have some cool items here too. Tin seafood. So here it is. This is how it turns from bodega into little speakeasy.
I didn't expect to see this room, honestly. It's like totally different vibe.
Yeah, it's very Victorian. It's like you want to have a secret tea party back here.
Now I want a tea with alcohol.
I like it. A lot of their drinks just have one name, like guava, miso, peppercorn. I might do a piña.
I'm gonna get the chill espresso. As a mom, I need that.
The chilled espresso has 1 ounce of pure espresso in it. We have reposado tequila. We have a coffee liqueur and a little bit of sugar. For the piña, we of course have pineapple juice, some orgeat, lemon juice, and some white rum. And we top this off with some overproof rum.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So good. This is the coffee I need in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. I have a toddler. I do. Imagine you make coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And you're desperate and you grab the tequila and you pour it. But made by professionals, of course.
I've been to speakeasy bars where I think the gimmick is just that it's a speakeasy, but this could actually stand by itself as a cocktail bar, and I would not complain about spending $18 or $19 on a drink that's this well made.
This is so good too.
The rum, quality of this rum right away I can tell is very good. It just feels like I'm on a beach somewhere. Like the bartender, Kiki, did a fantastic job making this.
You're at the beach and I'm at a tea party.
I really think this bar is the perfect middle ground. Like, you don't have to be super dressed up for this, but if you want to dress up, you'll feel right at home, and it's an Instagrammer's dream. One of the most iconic things of New York are bodegas and delis, and to have this little hidden gem in the back, that's clever, and I don't even know if it's ever been done before. I have had this bar on my radar for a very long time.
It has little touches here and there. Like, I love the art on the wall. As an artist, I really, really appreciate it a lot.
I think speakeasy bars are such a distinctly New York City phenomenon, and that a lot of other cities caught on to what New York was doing. Because Prohibition in the United States, the 1920s, like these bars were actually a thing. And I don't think they get enough credit. I think I need to go to more of them. What do you think?
Fun fact, our second date, he took me to speakeasy bars. I never heard of them before in Mexico, so he really impressed me with that date.
Take notes, you want to impress your significant other, your first date, take them to a speakeasy bar.
Yep.
And they have non-alcoholic options here, and you can even take stuff from the bodega and they'll plate it for you. So imagine having potato chips or gummy bears, I don't know, get creative.
Imagine someone comes just to buy something and they don't even know what's going on in the back room.
Oh, I actually did see a girl come and she just bought sugar and she left. And I don't know if she realized there was a bar back there, but yeah.
I will feel betrayed if my local bodega doesn't tell me they have a speakeasy in the back.
Imagine. In the world of hidden eats, there is a legend of a pizza spot tucked away inside of a subway station, but does it actually exist? We're about to find out. Definitely one of the most unique locations I've ever seen for a restaurant, inside the New York City subway.
I opened up Nothing Really Matters, and while I was doing business next door, I saw the opportunity to not only open up a cocktail bar, but a coffee shop across the way, and then this is my third endeavor down here in the subway. It's a tiny space, we're 1,000 square feet. We don't have any gas. We came up with these beautiful electric ovens for pizza, made in Italy, Mariforni ovens. A week or 2 weeks ago, we didn't exist. So all of a sudden, they head jerk, and they're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know, really excited about the surprise. And because not only that, we can deliver. And I hate to say it, a lot of places can't deliver. So.
Unintended. This is the hell pie. It's the pepperoni. Ooh, it looks good. So this is the hell pie, which has the sauce, hot sopressata, pepperoni, hot coppa, scamorza, pecorino, and Calabrian chili. I think this is one of their best sellers. That has got to be some of the best pepperoni I've ever had in New York City. This is pepperoni you get at a nice Neapolitan joint, not at some slice shop.
I wish you could smell this. It smells so good.
So the mean streets, we have the sauce, peppers and onions, scamorza cheese, cacioavella cheese, and fennel sausage. A lot of flavors going on with the mean streets. The peppers and onions combining with a little spicy sausage, 2 different Italian cheeses.
It's one of the best pizzas I ever tried. Like, it's so delicious. And the quality of the ingredients, like, you really taste it.
And they're not just known for their pizza here, their appetizers are fantastic as well. We've got some beets. We have the toast that has fresh sardines. Try pickled vegetables.
Oh my God. I'm gonna keep everything for me.
Adrian, the owner, is saying how they prep the dough 3 days in advance. And these are the types of things you want to hear from a New York City pizza owner. That kind of level of prep and attention to detail. And I can hear the subway in the distance. This place is kind of a vibe, I'm not gonna lie. You forget where you are, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I forgot for a second.
If the one train was in 20 seconds, you could catch it. We are that close to the turnstiles right now. Definitely one of the more unique places I've ever been to in New York, and you better visit before they're super packed, because I think word is gonna spread about this. What's nice about this style of pizza place too, you know, your pizza's made in about 20 minutes. You can come and go quick. You don't have to spend hours here if you don't want to. You can catch that one train. Speakeasy's right here. This is a very nice little corridor. I like what they've done here at 50th.
Yep. You work around here, you can definitely come here and get your coffee in the morning, then you can go grab lunch, and then after work, you can definitely go grab a drink.
Good ideas. Just steps from Times Square, hidden through those doors, a little island oasis.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. The Freaky Tiki. So Adriana and I have actually been here before. This is one of our favorite bars in Midtown, and it's so unique because yes, you have the tiki theme and they have amazing cocktails, drinks, and food. So what really sets Freaky Tiki apart, starting at 8 o'clock Tuesday through Thursday and 9 o'clock Friday and Saturday, is their live request piano show. So you're just steps from Broadway, and you can request Broadway songs, you can request songs from like any era, because New York has so many talented piano players and singers here that whenever we come, we just request whatever we want, give them a little tip, and everybody sings along. You can Venmo whoever the performer is. You can even write down your request right here. Anything. And if they know it, they'll play it.
I love my glass. I wish I could take it home.
And I got the Don Ho, which is rum, curacao, lime mint, and almond. Cheers. Cheers.
Back in Hawaii.
Let's toast to friendship. Here's to good friends who know us well and like us anyways. Cheers. Promise.
Promise.
to sing all the words to Don't Stop Believing. Up and down the shadows, searching in the night. Come on, Barbie, let's go party, street lights. Singing, hey now, you're an all-star. Adriana, where's Adriana? Adriana, can I give you another Frank Sinatra? Folks, do we have anyone visiting that isn't from New York City tonight? Does that mean we are all New York Yankee fans? All three of us. Let's do it. Let's do a little New York Yankees theme. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Sing it. I want to be a part of it. Where? New York. Folks, I need some Rockettes to get out here. Can I have some Rockettes? City that doesn't sleep. And find I'm king of the hill. New York.
I think this spot, I really like it to come with friends and sing with your friends. I think if you're with a group of people, you feel more encouraged to sing. They sing all type of songs, from like really old to really new songs. So it's really cool, and I have to say the cocktails here are amazing. It's not just the vibes, the quality of the cocktails are great too.
I have collected the craziest one-star attraction reviews from across New York City. And today I'm gonna see if they're real and if you should avoid these attractions. But there's one rule. After every spot, I'll leave an honest review and see if Yelp is lying. One place even denied a little girl from entering because she had a balloon. But first, could this be New York's worst rated observation deck? Joe S. Pretty horrible experience. Your reservations get you in a 30-minute line. The top is packed so deep with people, you are only getting pictures if you are tall or push yourself in. Bathroom, impossible to find. There were literally no signs for the bathroom, and it was down an unmarked hallway. No signs for the bathroom, that's just New York's way of saying, hold it in. One of our tasks is we're gonna see, can we find the bathroom easily? Mark D. You have many great options for viewing platforms in NYC. This is not one of them. All of these venues are inherently corporate, but this one somehow manages to be the most corporate-y of the corporate experiences. It's on a junk tower, on top of a mall, with chains you can find anywhere, giving you a bad view through finger-smeared glass. Mark posted this photo, and I think through the finger-smeared glass, I spot New Jersey, the best view from New York. We're gonna get to the bottom of how bad these views really are. Mary S. Do not go. We came around 9:30 expecting to see pretty views of the city. We waited in a never-ending line for 1.5 hours just to get stuck at the top. It is now almost midnight, and we are nowhere close to getting down. Definition of a tourist trap. Wow. We're gonna time this thing. Sandra L. Oh my God, I wish I had read the bad reviews. Entry time is a disorganized mess that has everyone storming the front gate and the staff yelling because there is no organized way to come in at your entry time. Once you get in, it is chaos until you get to the area where you show your ticket. After that, a long crowded wait. Stay away, never again. Storming the gate, really, is this a Florida Walmart on Black Friday or an observation deck? We're gonna see how much chaos it is to get in and out, and we're gonna see if the staff is as rude as she says.
As I entered one of America's most expensive malls and soaked in the holiday cheer, I couldn't help but wonder if we actually were going to spend hours waiting in line.
We're at the entrance. We are going to find out just how long it takes to get up there with this timer.
Clearing security and riding up the escalator to the 101st floor felt faster than TSA pre-check at the airport.
Approximately 8 minutes, 45 seconds from entrance to the 101st floor. That Yelp review, that's been busted. I really have to use the bathroom. Let's see if we can find it.
Go this way, turn left on your left.
Thank you. Oh, there's a sign. Yeah. That one, we're gonna say is busted.
At the observation deck, it looked like most people were enjoying the views, but Mark assured me they weren't, so I had to get a closer look to find out.
Whoa. That is not a bad view. That is the Empire State Building just looking right at us.
I then saw the strangest sight I've ever seen at a New York tourist attraction. Was there really a line to take a photo of our neighbor across the Hudson?
This is actually the most amazing thing for me because there is a line to take a picture with New Jersey behind you. That's right, the New Jersey Turnpike is the star of the show, not the Manhattan skyline. I may have to wait for that photo. I think the line's actually longer for the Jersey photo. This is crazy. I love it. How you guys liking the attraction?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, obviously the view is incredible.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great.
Seems like most of the tourists here are happy. Granted, I've seen it way more crowded here before, but I think if you came right during Christmas, it might be a different story. But as far as I'm seeing, crowds, views, no complaints. You got Midtown Manhattan, you got Lower Manhattan, you got New Jersey, you got the Statue of Liberty. That is definitely busted right there. These views are incredible. Now, what makes this observation deck unique is that it has the angled plexiglass. No other observation deck in New York offers you this experience. Oh.
The view was cool, but I felt it was missing something. After thinking about it, I knew exactly what needed to be done. Now it's perfect. You're welcome, next person, probably Mark. Since I wasn't sure how to tell if the staff were yelling and rude to people, I decided there was only one way to find out.
How's it going?
Pretty good, how are you?
Good.
By saying hi to as many people as possible.
How are you? Hello. You can tell I've lived in New York too long when it is too awkward for me to say hi, how are you to strangers. How's it going? Good, how are you?
Sandra L. had a tough time getting out of here. I wonder if we will too.
All right, now we find out, is it chaos? Is it Walmart on Black Friday? Chaos to get out of here. No? No, we get out of here quick. Thank you. Take care. Piece of cake. Dear Edge, blew away expectations. I was expecting crowds, I was wrong. I was expecting lines, I was wrong. I was expecting bad views of New Jersey, good views of New Jersey. I guess you could work on the smudges on the windows a little bit, but I don't blame you. Great experience, would return, thank you.
Central Park draws us in, but what awaits at its zoo might shock you.
Could this be the worst rated zoo in America? Central Park Zoo. David S. This is a zoo. Good luck seeing any animals, unless you consider thousands of other tourists cramped elbow to elbow in this tiny space as animals, which you would be justified in doing, in part because many do not wear deodorant. Is there no capacity limit? We saw part of a bear's leg, I think, maybe an arm. We saw some beautiful but dirty swans eating from a grain dish, but they were pretty quickly chased away by giant rats who ate the swan food. I suppose this is a zoo in the prerogative sense. Wait, is this what it's supposed to be? Is this some kind of a sarcastic art installation? And there's actually rats in this photo that he posted. And I thought the New York City subways were bad. We are gonna see how many rats we run into inside. Sarah W. Now I understand why Alex the lion wanted to leave to the San Diego Zoo, but seriously, this zoo is lackluster at best. The name is what keeps people coming because the zoo is lacking one important thing, animals. Okay, she had to bring up Alex the lion. We're gonna see how many animals we find inside of a zoo. George K. The zoo features a cafe which is primarily full of heart attack specials, some 1950s relics from before the time anyone heard of eating healthy. Things are deep fat fried with such a thick layer of breading you cannot even tell what you're looking at. You don't have to have any training in nutrition to tell you that you will eat horribly unhealthily if you choose to eat there. We are definitely visiting this 1950s era cafe because that actually sounds good. We're gonna see what kind of food they have here. Ebony V. Terrible experience, came here for my daughter's birthday week and was told we couldn't go inside the children's zoo because she had a balloon. It's not a petting zoo, everything is behind enclosures. She's 1 year old, come on, seriously shaking my head. Worst experience ever, never coming back for that one thing. All right, on the surface, the balloon thing sounds a little crazy. You know what? Let's get a balloon. It's like a metaphor for my life. I am not going to disrespect this zoo when they put the rules right here that balloons are dangerous to the animals. So that's actually true. That review was true. No balloons for the animal safety.
Was this a bizarre omen of what was to come? A black squirrel runs into the pouch of a family stroller trying to hitch a ride out of Central Park.
And my first impression is, while it doesn't look huge, it is a beautiful zoo. This architecture, absolutely beautiful. So far, we have not seen a single animal yet.
Were Sarah W. and George K. onto something here?
I think I just saw, oh, there he is, up. One animal. 1, 2, we got 2 animals. No rats so far. It was so strange to see reviews that were saying there are no animals at a zoo. It's like saying there's no food at a food court. Up, I see, here they come. They're cute. And they are native New Yorkers apparently too. They get more street cred than me. I grew up in Jersey. Oh, whoa. Right, that is the last animal you would want wandering Central Park unescorted. Grizzly bear. There are so many penguins here that I thought this was fake. I actually, when I walked in, thought these were just mannequins, but they're everywhere. Look, they have like an underwater penguin live camera. It's like a penguin live stream. All right, so we have got 24 penguins. We've got, these are puffins, not to be confused with a cereal. 3 puffins I see. So we're at about 29 animals in 5 minutes. It's just chilling. That snow monkey's got the life, man, just hanging out all day. I have not seen a single rat yet, and I think from those photos, they would be up there. Let's see if the rats are still hanging out. A little update here. And we have found the spot where the rats were in the picture. It was right there by those sticks and the rocks. I'm looking. I don't see any rats. So while that may have been true that day, that has actually been debunked. How you enjoying the zoo?
Oh, fantastic, loving it, yeah. That's crazy. I just can't believe, like, I've been watching your videos, like, since, like, decided we were coming to New York, like, you were the man to, like, watch. Like,
I appreciate it. How many stars would you give this?
Oh, well, 3.5.
3.5 stars, okay, that's fair, that's fair. I see it, I see it.
Inexpensive, I mean.
Yeah, it was like less than 20 bucks.
Yeah, it was like 15 bucks.
Yeah.
Well, random tourists seem to enjoy the zoo, but George almost had a heart attack at the cafe. That's serious, so of course we need to test that so future Georges feel safer at the zoo.
I can smell the grease in the air, okay? I smell it. Double cheeseburger and fries, pizza and pepperoni, pretzels. Uh-oh. They might be onto something. Wait, just when all hope was lost. Peanut butter and jelly on wheat, Black Forest ham and Munster. You can find healthy if you know where to look. I'm gonna say mostly debunked. All right, review of the Central Park Zoo. Lots of healthy and unhealthy options on the menu. More animals than expected. Good price. Nice and friendly tourists who wear deodorant. Reminded me of a Harry Potter movie. Would return. This Christmas attraction had 9 one-star reviews out of 12. This could be one of the world's worst rated Christmas attractions. Starting with Natasha R. I wish I read all the bad reviews before paying 140 bucks for 3 people only to be very disappointed. Not worth it. This would have been disappointing even if it were a free experience. Also in our VIP package, we were supposed to receive Santa hats and they ran out on Christmas Eve and did not even bother to offer something else to compensate for this lacking of organization. No Santa hat on Christmas Eve. Is that even legal? We're gonna see if we get a Santa hat in there. Truth tea. Such a horrible experience. I went on Christmas. The food was bland and it was more like tapas. Customer service horrible. I mean horrible. We got seated and waited 20 minutes for someone to even greet us. We given no directions or instruction, just sat in a cabin that appeared to have clear windows to see the view of Brooklyn. Instead, it was plexiglass that you can't see out of. Waitresses were all rude. Glass of wine, $15. You can only have 1 plastic cup of hot chocolate. Rink extremely small, ice synthetic. No Santa. First, we got no Santa hat. Then, we got no Santa. Then, we got hot chocolate coming in a plastic cup. Merry Christmas. Our task, are we gonna find Santa? And what's the hot chocolate and food situation like? I'm extremely disappointed with my experience, says Cindy B. I purchased the VIP experience for $3 and there was nothing VIP about it. It included the same exact thing a regular ticket holder had. We got a free watery hot chocolate, cheaply made Santa hats, access to the VIP lounge with absolutely no food, and to top it all off, my daughter saw Santa sitting at the bar, and lastly, it was raining and you can't reschedule. At least Santa showed up for this one, although him sitting at the bar raises more questions for me than answers. We're gonna find out if Santa does indeed have a drinking problem.
This is watermarked Santa's Winter Wonderland, but that's a lie. It actually was Disney's The Santa Claus's Winter Wonderland, but it got a new sponsor and name. I wonder why. Oh, I expected a complete tourist trap, but then my weak bladder kicked in again, making me search for the facilities again.
Well, the first thing we have spotted is that the bathrooms are actually luxury porta potties, but there is a ribbon on the bathroom door, so you will be able to pee safely. Except it's not open. That sucks. I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of this. False alarm. There's real bathrooms. I'll be right back, guys. Way better than a porta potty, though. This is actually one of the most decked out holiday public restrooms I've ever seen.
The bathroom was quite festive, and after I bumped into 2 Dutch viewers who were also heading to the holiday experience, at least I wasn't alone in here anymore, and they left. We spent $50 a person to get seating inside a heated igloo, an entree, and complimentary Santa hats. I'm gonna lose it if I don't get the Santa hat.
I did not realize to get an alcoholic hot chocolate included in this, so she said we're getting the Santa hats, and we're gonna see if the hot chocolate comes in the plastic cups like they said. One part of the review I do agree with, like, yeah, we can see the Brooklyn Bridge, but the plexiglass, it's a little dirty, so I'm actually understanding where they're coming from with that. Like, I can kind of make it out. I wish it was clearer.
Santa hat achieved, sorry Natasha, and a spiked hot cocoa in hand. I felt like I knew everybody in the place already. Could this be the best spot so far?
Waiters have actually been pretty friendly, which I wasn't expecting based on the reviews we were reading, and this igloo is the perfect temperature. It's nice and toasty. We've got a fire outside. The vibes are good. I'm pleasantly surprised so far, but I don't know what's coming. All right, so the review did mention the plastic cup for the hot chocolate. That is correct. That was not a lie. I think this has rum in it. I asked for rum. Let's see. I'm feeling the rum. This hot chocolate. I don't love it. It's not Max Brenner quality or anything like that, but the fact that it's spiked with rum and it's included in the cost, I didn't think they would include the alcoholic hot chocolate in the admission. The fact that they did, and I'm not hating it, another step in the right direction for them.
I didn't think this could get any better, but then Santa made a grand entrance debunking another review.
This is the 8-ounce beef brisket, short rib blend, cheddar, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, chipotle aioli, toasted brioche, fries on the side. All right, here goes. That's kind of mid, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting much, really. I would have been very surprised if this was a great burger. It's exactly what I expected it would be. I've got to be honest, fries taste like cardboard.
The food was a letdown, but that wasn't a surprise. Who comes here for the food? I mean, look at these views, vibes, and experience. I'm definitely in the holiday spirit now.
All right, so we have an extra beverage on the house to give you. Let's go explore. You gotta check this place out. It was $50 per person and then an extra $26.88 in gratuity and tax. It's really not that much here. Unless you come for dinner or just go to the bar, it's very small. I have a question. What happened to these rims? Some very aggressive toddlers had their way with this. My theory.
With Santa in sight, there was just one lingering doubt. Was he actually drinking on the job? I needed to know.
I gotta ask, you're so close to the bar, you ever get tempted just to grab a drink?
How do you know I'm not having one now? How do you know there's nothing on my system?
I had to ask.
Hot chocolate, that's all.
Hot chocolate, all right.
But
That's what I
sometimes
thought.
they drop a little bit in.
All right, why not?
Everything's good?
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
thank you. Take care. Santa's clean, Santa's clean.
Santa sounded like Joe Pesci and assured me that he was actually taking his job seriously today, but I bet this Santa knows how to get down on the weekend.
Did he say he has to do this? He's like, I got a court order, I have to be here.
I did not hear that.
Okay.
He said he has a court order?
He's like, this is fun, right? I got a court order to be here. I'm like, wait, did I hear that right?
I think Santa was kidding. That was probably the coolest Santa I've ever met in my entire life.
Santa is the best, takes his job seriously, only drinks after work. The views and vibes were nice. Staff put me in the holiday spirit. I wish the burger and fries were better, but the hot cocoa and Santa hat made up for it. Might return next season.
I'm glad they cut Disney out of the picture. I was not a Disney Santa. I was a Jersey Santa. Jersey Santa. Feast on dishes from around the globe for only $5 or $6 in New York City. Sounds too good to be true. We'll show you the ins and outs of the Queens night market, which could be the city's best kept secret. We've got Greg back on the channel, resident food guide and native New Yorker. 70 food stalls here. What do we got going on?
Yeah, the Queens Night Market is in Flushing Meadow Park here in Queens. It's been here since 2015, but it's expanded a lot over the years. So I've seen it grow. I've seen it become the best night market in the city, the first, and excited to eat, really hungry right now.
We're gonna start with Joey Bat's Cafe. I've actually covered them on the channel before. They've got a few different locations, but there's something unique here that you can't find anywhere else.
Absolutely. So they actually started off here in the night market years ago, and they become a real success story. You know, their pastel de nata, the egg tarts are really delicious, but they have something special here called bifana. It's a traditional Portuguese sandwich. It's marinated strips of pork on a house-made Portuguese roll. Delicious.
This is a Portuguese roll. It's called popsicle. It's very soft, and I like to serve the bifana on it. It's really good.
The joy of the night market is this bifana is $6. You are not gonna find a sandwich this big anywhere in New York for $6.
Definitely not. Look how generously they pile these strips of marinated pork on here. She dipped it in the extra gravy too.
Yeah.
It's so saucy and juicy. It's like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore, but I gotta tell you what this is all about.
All right, let's just take a bite. Yeah, let's rock. I just cleanly bit through 4 different pieces of pork. That might be a personal record. It's so juicy. You just feel that gravy in every bite.
So this is marinated in a beer and wine sauce. I think I really tasted the wine on that first bite too. It's really complemented nicely by this house-made Portuguese roll. It's very light, fresh.
We're gonna tap out after one spot. This thing is so big. That's the great thing about the night market. Every stall you go to, you can try something you've never tried before because they've got stalls from all over the world.
Yeah, so what's cool about this is that you really can't find Portuguese food very easily in New York City. It's actually only really Joey Bat's, and he mostly is selling the egg tarts at other locations like Grand Central. This is the only spot he's selling the bifana for now. keyword for now. I can see this really taking off one day.
Something we definitely need to discuss is how the night market has served as a springboard for a lot of really famous businesses to pop up. They start here, they gain a following, and then they're off to the races.
Absolutely. I would say Joey Bats is probably the biggest example of that. Really started here. Now you can go to Grand Central before you hop on the Metro North. You can grab a pack of the pastel de nata, the egg tarts, which he's most famous for. And I think Chelsea Market, a few other locations. He's really taken off. He's got like a mini empire based off just starting right here at Queens Night Market, which is incredible.
Speaking of pastel de natas, I mean, they saw us filming and they know us, so they decided to give us 6 of these bad boys. And I had some of these when I was in Spain recently, and I know they're Portuguese. They didn't even come close to this, I'm telling you. They didn't even come close. I was missing Joey Bats in Europe.
You can really just smell that cinnamon coming off this already.
Ready? Never too early for dessert, even the first style. So sweet, so crumbly.
Yeah, I like that it's not overly sweet. It's got the nice crunchiness, and I love the little bit of cinnamon on top. I think that's really what makes this extra special.
Has a real holiday vibe to it.
Yeah, cinnamon flavor really gets that. Always consistent, always delicious, I'd say.
This is tough because we've got like 68 more styles to eat at, so we better slow down.
Brought my appetite, but let's see.
You gotta fast all day for this.
We have 2 traditional too.
Yeah. We have 2 coconut juices as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, you know what my favorite thing about this market is? It's the community vibe, because people walk by, they see what's in your hand, and they say, where did you get that? What line is it? You start conversations very easily here.
You really do, yeah. Everyone's very opinionated too. And
for anyone who's not had a bolonito before, including myself, what exactly is this?
Okay, so I've only had this one time at an Ecuadorian restaurant in Queens. So Ecuadorian food is very common here in Queens. We have a huge community, but these bolones, they're plantain balls, so it's mashed plantain. They actually add some chicharron, there's some cheese here. They top it off with their own sauce. It's like a green, I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Esmeralda sauce.
Esmeralda, yeah. Let's see what the Esmeralda sauce is, but it's really nice. You don't really see this on the streets very much, so it's actually pretty unique, even for a cuisine that's very popular here in Queens. So let's see what it's all about.
Really soft and chewy. And Esmeralda sauce doesn't overpower it at all to me. It just kind of complements it.
Definitely has like a herbal flavor. You get that crunch, a bit of smokiness from the chicharron and the bacon. And the plantains are more the green plantains, so not very sweet.
I can't forget that it is very hot coconut juice, and you can even taste the little pieces of coconut. You saw them like grinding it, right?
Yeah, so I'm adding grated coconut to the juice, so.
I've had plantains, I guess, like Colombian spots before.
I'll tell you, this reminds me of a little bit, not flavor-wise, but concept-wise, of mofongo. Like Dominican and Puerto Rican mofongo, but totally different flavor. This is nice, I like this. It's a little more subtle, more subdued. Like, part of the fun, too, is just watching it make it fresh. They're making this by hand, each one.
As we were saying, a lot of these businesses, this is their first real foray in public. So they're very friendly. They want to know your opinions on the food. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, what's nice about it too is that when you set up here as a vendor, it's very affordable. The market is subsidized. That's why everything is capped at $5 or $6 per dish. So also in turn, the vendor fees are subsidized too. So if you want to get started in the food business here, it's a nice place to get started.
It's really a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Burmese bites. We are getting food that is not that easy to find in New York, right?
No. Yeah, Burmese food is rare to find. This is one of the few, actually. Look at the tray. That's so cool.
If you order for like 10 people, yeah.
Have 1 keema palata, please?
It's going for a run tonight. It's going to burn all this off. How many of these do you make a night?
About 500.
500.
Thank you.
That was quick.
Since we're in the park, you can actually set up a little picnic here.
Wait, is that supposed to be like a sushi roll? The glory of this market is that you can get a lot of shareable stuff for $5 or $6. Keema palata. This is, again, something I've never had before.
Yeah, so this is from Burmese Bites. They're one of the most famous vendors here. They've been here for many years. Another one of the success stories. So it's hard to find Burmese food here in New York City. So they started here at the night market. They're still here, but they also have a stall in the Queens Center Mall, one of the busiest malls in the whole country, actually. So they're in the food court. You have your basic mall food and you have Burmese food there.
Only in Queens, right?
Yeah. So this is a keema palata. It's kind of like a roti, but inside there's minced chicken. And here is a little bit of raita. It's like a yogurt, cucumber sauce on the side.
Did I just get 2 at once? Did I?
I think you did, doubling up. Actually have it by itself first.
That is just packed with flavor right there.
Oh yeah.
This is what I'm looking for out of the market. That bite right there, experiencing flavors like that I'm not normally used to.
So nice about this is that it's kind of crunchy, kind of soft at the same time, and then inside you have that nicely spiced chicken. And then when you have another bite with the yogurt cucumber to kind of cool it all off and add a little bit of crunch to it as well. The yogurt sauce really enhances it.
I could down these in one bite.
Easily.
I don't know about sharing them. I think I would go back for more, personally, but if you're on a little food tour here.
You come for the food and you stay for like the overall experience. The vendors making it, the vibe here out in the grass, like
music playing.
Yeah.
So this is good for a big group of friends as well. And you guys can just like split up and share food from different countries. It's a lot easier than like running around Roosevelt Ave, especially in weather like this.
And we even saw a woman who brought her own big tray, like at a restaurant. She had a tray of like 10 dishes.
Sometimes you gotta lead with your nose. Our sense of scent brought us here.
Oh yeah, the aroma is incredible here.
Wet plates and one burrs.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Sega wet plate and no utensils because it's Ethiopian food.
Ethiopian food, traditionally eat it with your hands. So we have here the injera, that's a traditional Ethiopian bread. It's fermented, made with teff grain. It's got kind of a sourdough taste to it. Ethiopia is one of my favorite cuisines, like a real flavor bomb, flavor pack.
I've had it a couple times before. It's been a while, but this, again, is something I really wanted to try at the night market.
Here they give us a rolled up piece of the injera, so it's kind of like a spongy texture. You see all the holes there? So I like to just rip it like that. Then, go with this. Try to get a little veggie in there. I'm gonna have to use it's gonna get on my fingers, but it's all right. I'll just go like this. Use the thumb to kind of shovel it down. That's a real flavor bomb. Underneath it all, like not only all the spices and that beef there, but you get that underlying tangy, sour flavor from the injera and that like spongy texture. Wonderful. And if you don't eat beef, they do have lentil as well.
We'll just do the beef. I saw them slow cooking this in the corner, and I knew that it would taste amazing, but I just practically melted in my mouth. And then some of the spices are coming up at the end there.
Yeah.
This thing's got some kick to it, and I like it. Now I'm gonna try to make Greg proud and get beef and some veggies in one.
Do it, John. Let's go.
That was a warm up.
I believe in you. I believe in you.
To try to get, I don't know.
Got it.
All right, ready? Kids, don't try this at home. It was better though with the veggies. It was much better. So many flavors going on. You're absolutely right. Could that be the biggest flavor bomb in the whole market right there?
It's definitely up there. Usually when you go to an Ethiopian restaurant, you get a big platter. Usually you share with a lot of people. Here is like one of the rare opportunities you can get more of an individual, smaller portion, which is rare. You can't really get that elsewhere.
If you're enjoying this street food adventure, consider booking Greg's street food tour of Queens. Many of my viewers have told me it was the highlight of their trip to New York. Link down below in the description. You won't regret spending an afternoon with this guy.
Yeah, I'd love to see you. Come book my tour. Skewers. The skewers are really good.
2 of the beef and chicken skewers, 2 orders. Thanks so much. Is there anything better than meat on a stick for street food? I mean, that's the classic.
You gotta do at least one at every market you go to, right? This is unique because Cambodian food is very, very hard to find in New York City. They're one of the only people selling Cambodian food in the whole city. It's pretty crazy to think, right?
Greg, I don't know what's more beautiful, this chicken on a stick or that sunset right there.
Why not both? That skewer in front of the sun.
Equally beautiful. That's why they call it the night market. We will be here after dark, but yeah, enough talking. Let's try this. Anybody can put meat in a stick. Not anybody can do it this well. So juicy and tender.
What I love about Cambodian barbecue sticks is that all the marinade you really taste. There's turmeric in here, there's lemongrass, there's so much flavor. So there's even a little bit of lime leaves too. And it's so hard to find this in New York. I wish there was more hello Cambodians in New York. If you can just start opening up some barbecue stalls, please, you will get a lot of people. It's so good.
How can you tell all the flavors? I've always been curious about that.
I like a lot of different spices in food, so over time I pick it up. Sometimes I don't cook very much, but when I do cook, I do use like turmeric, cumin, spices like that.
So it's from the cooking that you have that background, right?
A little bit. It's like a mix of that, plus researching the food and trying it a lot.
Meanwhile, I'm like, this is good. Bold statement coming. It's maybe the best meat in a stick I've ever had in New York.
Probably wouldn't disagree with you there, actually, because the way it's marinated, no one else is doing this.
The marination here, that's what's standing out.
I think if you were just to walk by and you'd see it, you might overlook this stall, actually, because there's a few stalls here selling meat on a stick, but don't overlook this Cambodian one, do not.
So outside of being probably the most diverse street food market in the world, you also have the most diverse crowd in the world. family friendly. A lot of tourists are watching. What would you tell them?
I would say, yeah, this is like the market for everybody. You know, you have everything's priced at $5 or $6 or less. You really get all walks of life here. And it's really not too far coming into the city on the 7 train. It's very family friendly. People come here with their dogs. It's just a good vibe altogether. You can even get beers here for $6, which is pretty good value.
Beer and wine. We may do that later.
Yeah.
Could I get the cassava leaf with the moringa leaf rice?
Thank you.
What friendly owners. This is what I'm talking about when you come to the night market. Getting that kind of hospitality.
Yeah, really sweet people. And I love it that we're not shy about saying they're the only people selling Sierra Leonean food in New York.
I think most people would be hard-pressed to even pinpoint Sierra Leone on a map, let alone having tried their food before. But here I am trying it for the first time. Very earthy, and of all the food we've had so far today, I would say this tastes the most homemade. Like they were just in their kitchen and brought it downstairs and served it to us. That's the vibe I get from it.
I couldn't agree more on that. The rice here is moringa leaf rice. You can see the bits of herb here, of the moringa leaf. And you have the stew. This is cassava leaf stew that already has a very earthy flavor. I think cassava is like a root vegetable, right? So these are leaves from it. It's slow cooked. You can tell they're very just proud of their food, just very friendly, and just, I love like you can't find Sierra Leonean food anywhere in New York. Yeah, just like you said, homemade and like healthy even.
This is kind of addicting, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
And not just this food, just trying food from all over. It's like just close your eyes and point at a spot and you're probably gonna find something that you're not likely to find wherever you come from.
Yeah, it's a very nice portion, it's very hearty, and just $5. You really can't go wrong. Overall, it's April to the last weekend of October. Okay. They take about a 4 or 5 week break for the US Open. That's in like mid-August to about mid-September. Because this is in Flushing Meadow Park. This is where the US Open is. Literally the stadium is just right over there, so.
In this video, I'll be rating the best delis in the pastrami capital of the world, New York City, including a shop that sells 15,000 pounds of pastrami in a single week. But before that, my local guide Greg and I are heading to a place that Anthony Bourdain called the iconic New York meal. And that would be Pastrami Queen. And this is by far the smallest deli on the video. Not many tables, but worth the wait.
It smells so good in here. I'm just looking at that big slab of pastrami there, all that bark on the outside.
Oh wow. This is an icon of the New York culinary scene.
Just layered, piled up like that.
The pastrami is brined, seasoned, dried, and smoked, and then heated and steamed for 24 hours to achieve peak moisture and tenderness.
Nice little bit of fat there, not overwhelming. A little bit of that bark, which I like. I'm just really hungry. I'm so excited to dive into this.
We've been fasting all day. You know what I like about this pastrami? It's not too lean, it's not too fat, it's somewhere in the middle.
I agree there. That caraway seed and the rye bread really adds another layer of flavor here.
Man, this thing's not gonna last long.
Now I'm curious with the mustard.
I think the mustard elevates it.
The mustard does add that bit of saltiness and brininess to it.
It's amazing that a spot like this flies a little bit under the radar, at least by tourists to New York, where you've got the heavyweights like Katz's and Second Ave Deli. Pastrami Queen, a little sleeper.
It is. I think it's also because of location. Like not a lot of tourists coming up to the Upper East Side,
That's fair. I mention this every time we bring up Anthony Bourdain, but he loved this spot. And he always said that this is the one thing New York City does better than any other place on earth. Pastrami sandwich and deli sandwich. One thing you're guaranteed in any deli are the free pickles. Got the half sours here. I never had half sour pickles until I started going to the New York Jewish delis. This is more commonly what you see, standard American pickle.
Out of these two, I do prefer actually the half sour because it tastes a little bit fresher. It tastes more like cucumber. It doesn't overwhelm on the tanginess. I think also when you're eating something heavy and greasy like this, you do need something light to kind of cut through the richness of it.
Yeah. One thing you absolutely must order when you come to a New York Jewish deli, Dr. Brown's celery. This is the classic. If Sprite and ginger ale had a baby. Time for the first ranking of the day. Pastrami Queen. Greg, what do you got?
It's a thin slice pastrami. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the thin slice all the time, depending on how it is. It was good. A nice flavor with the spices on there, with the bark. It was a little oily. The bread was fantastic. Overall, I say I give it a 7.4.
Interesting. Okay. I think that is a great deli sandwich, but I think it could have been a little juicier. I think there could have been a little bit more flavor. I would definitely go back. I'm gonna go with a 7.3. We see eye to eye on this.
Pastrami Queen starts us off at a solid 7.35. With our next stop, a classic on the New York deli scene. Will we get our first contender of the day?
This is Second Ave Deli, and we are not even on Second Ave. This is the first time that both Greg and I We'll dine here.
Excited.
Oh, this is the originals right here. This is showing like the old 2nd Ave Yiddish theater district.
This screams just like old surly New York, you know?
So first thing I notice is there's no music playing, people just enjoying their food. This place feels like a classic even though it opened here in 2007. And there's a bit of a sad story. The original owner, Abe Liebewall, was murdered in 1996, and that case is still unsolved.
Wow.
But they're keeping the tradition alive now in Midtown East. Who said a pastrami spot isn't healthy, okay? We got the house salad here, some pickles, some vegetables.
I feel healthy already just looking at it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this definitely looks different than a pastrami queen.
I see a lot more fat.
Yeah.
Not too much, but like I see it more.
And also it's really thinly sliced.
It is.
And you can see a good amount of that pastrami bark hanging out too. First time you, first time me.
Excited.
Let's pop that cherry. Yeah. I like what the menu said. You don't need this thing lean. Nice and fatty for me. So juicy, so many flavors. Oof.
Even though it's fatty, it doesn't feel so heavy. We're worried this is gonna fall apart as we eat
Yeah.
it. Somehow it's like the structural integrity of this is much better than I thought it would be.
This isn't a word I've typically used for pastrami, but it's buttery.
I think they don't overdo it on the spice. I really taste the flavor of the meat itself here.
Yeah, I'm gonna put mustard on before I finish this thing. It definitely balances out the flavors better, yeah. I'm feeling such a sense of guilt right now for never having come here before.
Hey, better late than never, right?
That's true.
Better late than never.
It just keeps getting better with every bite.
Just that little bit of brine, not too much, very fresh.
Yeah, well, it's good to have something acidic like this, counter the saltiness of the pastrami. I think this is what you come to New York for an old school spot like this.
What kind of reminds me of like a steakhouse vibe a little bit.
And you do have all the celebrities on the walls. We got Dustin Hoffman here, just overlooking us. I'm walking here. Tell us what movie that's from if you know.
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Need some walking after this. Spot number 3 is walking distance from here, which is great.
Any extra steps you can get.
While pastrami is one of the icons of New York, street food is really one of the city's best kept secrets, and Greg runs the best street food tour in New York. I have had viewers tell me it was the highlight of their trip. I'm gonna put a QR code here. If you wanna book it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on the tour. Come join me. You know, usually you see black and white cookies, right? These are blue and white cookies. It kind of reminds me of, for all the Seinfeld fans, remember when Jerry's eating the black and white cookie? Very pleasant surprise.
I think they have a whole bake section here too.
Are you a Yankee fan?
Yes.
You want to see something fantastic?
Sure.
Remember that?
Oh, this is terrible.
You're trolling us.
You're trolling us?
Just listen to that crack. You'll never hear that again.
This is torture.
Listen to
salt
that.
in the wound
Listen to
here.
the crack.
Thanks for rubbing salt in the wound. Appreciate it. Were you a Mets fan?
Dodger.
Dodger. Okay.
Dodger
Fair
fan.
enough. Congratulations.
All right, you win this one. Time for the rankings. This one's tough. This one's really tough. I thought that the meat was tender, buttery, good peppery flavor. One of the best pastrami sandwiches I've ever had. I'm gonna go 8.2.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, I like the fatty bits that came off. The meat itself was good quality. Bread was solid. I'm gonna go 8.0.
All right, we're pretty close. We have been pretty close so far.
Yeah.
2nd Ave Deli came in with a solid 8.1, but will that score be enough to keep up with some fierce pastrami contenders? Our next stop takes us to a deli that's probably the least known on the list, but don't let that fool you.
Sarge's Deli, open since 1964. This is a local favorite. Sarge's has a great story. It was opened by a retired New York City police sergeant, hence the name Sarge's, and his name just happened to be Abe Katz. No relation to Katz Deli.
Mine is blown.
Of all the contenders in today's video, I think Sarge's has the largest menu. It's pretty much like a diner menu.
It does have a diner vibe to it, too.
Wow.
Ooh. Thank you. The bread looks excellent.
Definitely see some of the bark. Maybe not as much bark as we saw at 2nd Ave.
And the color is more pink here is what I noticed. That's one thing is the color difference. Yeah, I do see like more of the fat. It's nice layers of fat and lean meat here.
I think this could be the most thinly sliced we've had of the day. Well, I'm excited for this first bite. Ready to go to work. What a dirty business we have. Really juicy.
That's what stood out to me right away,
Yeah.
the juiciness.
The flavors are pretty subtle.
The bread is fantastic on this, and the caraway seeds, it really complements it.
Brown deli mustard. just melts in your mouth.
Very impressed how juicy it is.
You know, they have a t-shirt outside that says New York's best kept secret, and I kind of have to agree with that in some ways.
It's just got that like very welcoming, relaxed vibe.
What's also incredible about all the spots we're going to today, Sarge's is the newest, 1964. Places like this can stay around as customers are loyal. Kind of happy we didn't start here. This would have set the bar very high. The bread is about as good as the pastrami, which you never think you would say at a deli, but it's actually true. I was just admiring how much I was enjoying this. It's such a simple sandwich. Bread, pastrami, mustard. That's it. We just need a little nap before the next spa. This food's putting us to sleep. All right, Greg.
Yeah.
That was interesting. What do you got?
I gotta say right away, I was very impressed with Sarge's. The bread really stood out to me. They get the bread from Orwash's, a local bakery, so it really tastes homemade. It was very juicy, kind of crumbly, like you can see the juices just coming out of the meat. I'm gonna give it 8.7.
Okay. I think that's maybe the best pastrami sandwich I've ever had. Juicy as all heck. I'm going a little higher. I'm going 9.1.
Sarge's storms into the lead with an impressive 8.9. Could this unexpected contender actually take the crown? With just one stop left, a name that's practically synonymous with New York and pastrami awaits.
We've got Katz's Deli, New York's oldest deli, open since 1888, been here since 1917. And this is the first time I have not seen a line out the door. This is a New York rite of passage, waiting online to get your pastrami sliced at Katz's. Greg and I made a bold decision. Yeah. We are having the Katz IPA and Ale.
Cheers to the last stop and one of the most famous sandwiches in the world.
Now you may see this slogan all around, send the salami to your boy in the army, or you look at the walls and there's all these people holding these like thick sausages. It's because during World War II, the owner had 3 sons in the armed forces, and that's where that slogan started. Often imitated, never duplicated. You look at a Katz pastrami sandwich, and I think you can instantly tell where it comes from.
Absolutely. The first thing that jumps out at you right away is how thickly sliced the meat is. They hand slice it to order.
It feels like a workout right now. We're gonna need a workout after today. That's a different story. Also something unique versus all the other spots. They put the mustard on for you, and they put quite a bit.
Even the way they slice it up and like almost stack it. Look at that. It's almost like a work of art.
This was made for social media before social media even existed. 1888. I'm not necessarily docking them for this, although maybe I am. It's so much meat that this bread can barely hold it together. Like, I'm afraid this is about to fall apart. Now, we never really talked about like what pastrami is. It's the beef navel. It has to be cured in salt water brine for 3 weeks, then rubbed, then smoked, then boiled, then steamed, and then finally carved right in front of you. This masterpiece takes a lot of time. The final contender for best pastrami in New York.
We had to end here with the most famous and the most unique, I would say.
Is yours holding up?
Yeah, I think this one's like very structurally intact. I think more than any other spot, the bark really shows.
Here we go. Wow. First words from me are, it is so thick. Oof. It is by far the thickest piece of pastrami, and there is no contest versus the other ones. I also think it has the smokiest flavor.
I would say so too. I think it has the boldest spice mix to it.
They have a style and they are not gonna move away from it.
No. And it works.
The vibe here, it's very touristy. This is by far the most polarizing place I have ever seen in New York. It seems like people either love this place or love to hate this place. But I need some more bites to really think about the ranking here.
I would say not really the best bread on here. Like the mustard is actually seeping through the bread a bit. But I don't think you're really coming here for the bread. You're really coming here for the meat.
And now your thing's falling apart a little bit, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's messy, but I'm not complaining about it. Not that this affects the pastrami rating at all, but this lager is excellent. I think I like the beer as much as the pastrami. I've actually never been here for dinner before. Now you've come here late when there was still 24 hours.
Yeah, like 3 in the morning. It's a whole different vibe here. It's like the after drinking crowd.
Party vibe.
Yeah.
I would say the meat's a little bit tougher in some areas to chew.
There's less fat here. I'm not sure if it's like you can ask for a fattier cut.
Yeah.
It is a little tougher.
Do you think this is a tourist rite of passage?
Absolutely. Probably the most famous sandwich in the whole city and one of in the whole world. I mean, you see this, you know it's a cat sandwich.
I think they have the record for most celebrity pictures. I can't think of a place that has more. They must have 1,000.
What I do love is it still has that very old school feel to it.
Yeah.
It's very frozen in time. It brings you back to old school New York.
But I think everyone should probably try it at least once in their life. Moment of truth, Greg. Here are my thoughts. I have been here before, as has just about every other New Yorker, and I've always had a hit or miss experience. I really enjoyed the taste. I like the smokiness. I like how thick the pastrami was. There was just something about the texture today. It just didn't have that crumbliness, is that a word?
Yeah.
It didn't have that crumbliness that I would want out of my winter, and it definitely didn't have the juiciness of Sarge's. So I'm gonna give Katz's a 7.9.
I've been to Katz's many times. I love the flavor. They have probably the boldest spice mixture, spice blend of any pastrami we had today, but it was not as moist as I'm used to. And usually the meat falls apart a lot, but here it was the bread that was falling apart tonight a lot, which I got to dock it on the bread too. I've had experience here that I would normally give maybe a 9.2. Tonight, I'll give it 8.1. Sarge's winner for me tonight. It was so juicy. The bread was excellent. It really had the whole package tonight.
The underdog has won.
Here's the final tally. Pastrami Queen takes fourth with a 7.35. Katz's lands in third at 8.0. Second Ave Deli claims the silver with an 8.1. And Sarge's Deli pulls off the stunning upset, coming out on top with an 8.9.
Visiting New York City in the summer is an amazing opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. Today we'll be sharing some bucket list summer activities in the Big Apple that you'll never forget. Trust me, let's go. One of the top requests I've ever gotten on this channel was to do a helicopter tour, and I decided for this summer guide, I'm finally gonna check it off my New York City list. I've never been on a helicopter in my entire life, and why not a clear, beautiful summer day to experience it? Let's go. Almost ready, kind of excited. As I said, never done this before. Wow, what an experience. I would use the word bucket list to describe that. So much to love about this. It was so fast. We got in there and onto the helicopter, I think within 10 minutes. You could communicate with the pilot. They were talking, they were basically narrating everything we were seeing. The views were like being at the top of an observation deck, but the entire time circling the city. And I'm not gonna lie, I may have teared up for a second when I heard Alicia Keys' New York song, Passing Central Park, just like inspired by those views of the city. That was unbelievable and completely worth every single penny that you'd spend on it. Highly, highly recommended. See the link in the description if you're interested in doing it yourself.
New York City has every type of tourist boat imaginable, from the free Staten Island Ferry to dinner cruises, and we've done them all, but see the city offer something completely unique. Onboard hot tubs. You've got to see this.
Oh, that's warm. Oh, that is warm. That's nice and warm.
That's hot, actually. This is an absolutely amazing group activity, like bachelorette party, bachelor party, group of friends. You'll see. Important rules. This is BYOB. Beer, wine, hard seltzers are cool. Champagne, no hard liquor.
Don't put any videos of my love handles out there, okay?
I think this is super cool with a group of friends, and the weather is perfect, and you have that amazing view right there.
When John asked us if we wanted to watch the sunset and hot tubs with friends, I was like, yes, yes, let's go. And I can't wait to just explore the city.
You can connect directly to their Bluetooth, play whatever music you want. It's pretty sweet, actually, how they set this up. I have to say, I've seen the Statue of Liberty, like every way, shape, and form on boats going on the Hudson River before, and this is by far the most interesting, and dare I say, maybe the coolest way to see it, in a hot tub. Playing Instagram husband for a living. These are really nice hot tubs too. We got the bubbles on right now, we got the lights on, we booked the sunset tour. If you have the opportunity booking the 8 o'clock tour in the summer, I mean, you cannot go wrong.
That view is insane. That's like the most unobstructed view ever. I think it's worth every second. Freezing my butt off. I had no engagement party planned, but this might change my mind.
You could rent out both tubs, by the way.
Oh, I might have to, yeah.
I feel like this is what billionaires do when they come to New York City. They rent something like this. But it's actually not unaffordable with a group of people at all. I think it's a good deal for all the things you get. The customer service here, the staff are so friendly. They're pouring our drinks, seeing how we are, showing us how to run the music, how to run the tubs. Really just top-notch operation for whatever special occasion you're thinking of. Book them, trust me.
Happy birthday, Liz! Happy birthday, Liz! New York, have fun.
These boats are available from mid-March to December, so you could do this during the Christmas season if you want.
So if hot tubs aren't your thing, see the city also has jet ski rentals. Very cool. If you want to do something different, get those amazing views in New York. It seems like all we ever do on this channel is eat, drink, and walk around the city. But there's another way to explore the Big Apple by e-bike. And NYC Adventure E-Bike Tours has a special tour that nobody else does that you need to experience at least once.
All right, so we're gonna do something really fun today, something unique and something that nobody else does in the city. We are gonna go on an e-bike tour and cross all the iconic bridges in the city. Go through some local neighborhoods, and then we're gonna kind of go up the Hudson River Greenway, parallel to the Hudson River, back uptown.
All right, New York City, here we go. This is really cool. Whatever Rick says, there is an intercom. We can communicate back and forth wirelessly through the helmet.
Just watch out for the crazy drivers and people walking into the street without looking. These bike lanes are relatively new. It really started during the Bloomberg administration.
Yeah.
It started on one block as a pilot program on 9th Avenue between 15th and 16th Street. And now it's expanded, the whole network. We have hundreds and hundreds of miles of protected bike lanes and greenways all around the 5 boroughs.
New York's definitely not Amsterdam, but the bike lanes are improving a lot here. So 59th Street Bridge, the first bridge we're on. And this is so cool because I see the Roosevelt Island tram coming past us, and I've only been on the tram. I've never biked or walked this bridge before, so this is already new things for me. This is definitely a tour that I think even someone who's lived in New York City for a long time would be impressed with.
Stunning, all right? This is called Queensbridge Park in Queens, and we're right on the East River. We're just on the other side of Roosevelt Island, which is technically part of Manhattan.
I've been on that side, Roosevelt Island. I've stared here. I've never actually been to this park. I want to take it in for a second. It's so peaceful up here, I got to admit. Let's hop on a bike and find some peace in this city. It's not too hard. Even though I know it's an e-bike, I'm still using muscles that I don't normally use. I need water and suntan lotion. It's a little...
It is hot out. You know, this Pepsi-Cola sign has landmark status.
It does?
Yeah, this is a protected landmark in New York City. This was here when I was a kid. This will be here when my kids have kids.
This is actually one of my favorite parks in the city for beautiful views of the skyline right here. Not as busy as Central Park, and doesn't bake as bad, right?
Central Park, it's just in the summertime, it could be stagnant, the air. It's just, you bake and you're sweating. This is nice over here. Our next bridge will be the Pulaski Bridge, which is just a normal bridge, which will bring us into Brooklyn.
Rick just showed me a hidden gem mini golf course on the East River here in Williamsburg. I'm gonna have to put this in a hidden gems video or a Williamsburg guide in the future. Thank you for this, I like that. See, I'm learning a lot today. I have to say, I don't know if we could have seen so much in one day if we weren't on bike. I would not want to drive to all of this or even take the subway to all of these spots. Biking is perfect. Oh, that is nice. That's so nice. Williamsburg's definitely my favorite bridge so far. Plenty of space to cycle, and the artsiest bridge too.
I love this bridge. It's real artsy. You can see kind of a lot of the graffiti all over it. Something just like little beer cans. hanging on a wire. Or if you look on the gate over there, it's a little wheel. You have a little rat riding a scooter here.
It's moments like this that I'm glad we have an e-bike. Finish line is nearing and I should be super tired, but I'm actually okay.
E-biking is the best way to explore the city. Yeah. This bridge will bring us into Dumbo, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass.
What's crazy is I normally take that bridge back home to Brooklyn and I never stare at the cyclists. Now I'm gonna be paying more attention to them. I get it. First time I ever cycled the Brooklyn Bridge and just being on it and looking up was stunning. And you were saying that biking here with all the tourists was just unbearable in the past.
So the city built a bike lane on the lower level to the left over here because you can see what's going on the bridge right now.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to go on this bridge and ride safely through all these pedestrians.
It's almost impossible to walk right here right now.
And this is actually a normal average day. You come here during the holidays. It's twice as crazy as this.
Gotta come early for this. I was honestly a little hesitant about biking through the city, but I have to say that Rick just being in my ear the whole time really made it fly by, put me at ease, and I can tell people I've biked like the most iconic bridges in New York. So if you want a way to see 3 boroughs in a day and see more of local New York City, you gotta book this tour. And if you don't want to do this tour, Rick's got a few other things.
So we do Central Park, we have the Bridges tour, of course, Manhattan Sightseeing tour, which is basically your bus tour, but doing it on your e-bike. And then we have the pizza tour, tours to Coney Island, the walkaways, which is our beaches here in the city, art murals tour, where you go to around the city, look for different art installations. We even have a spa tour, where you can ride the bikes to a luxury spa, hang out at the spa for a few hours, and then ride the bikes back.
The worst fear of any traveler is spending an entire trip surrounded by swarms of other tourists, feeling like you're having the same trip as everybody else. Today I'll be sharing some New York neighborhoods that are gonna give you more local vibes and still have a ton of things to do. Use this guide to make your next trip here feel a little bit more authentic. Here we go. This first neighborhood is so close to the belly of the beast that is Times Square, and yet just far enough away where you won't be hounded by Disney characters, and it's Hell's Kitchen. Just a 10-minute walk from Times Square, I think the best reason to visit here is 9th Ave, which is one of the most underrated areas in the city to find good food. They have diverse offerings like Peruvian, Spanish, Venezuelan, so much more, and heck, they're even home to one of my favorite bars, Rudy's, where you can get a free hot dog with every beer. But I really love it because you can just walk around some of the blocks and find a little bit more of a relaxed vibe and even some brownstones that would give you Brooklyn vibes. Sometimes the best neighborhoods for savvy travelers are just outside of those crowded central areas. And you'll find more New York local options with fewer chains, no Olive Gardens, and much better prices. I also recommend searching this area for a pre or post-Broadway meal, and if you haven't visited Schmackery's Cookies yet, you better hit them up. One of the best cookies I've ever tried living in New York. And just a note for everybody watching, I will have links in the description to every single neighborhood mentioned if you want a more in-depth guide to them. I have yet to visit a single neighborhood anywhere on the planet that can match this one for affordability and diversity of food choices, and that's Jackson Heights, Queens, just 30 minutes from Midtown Manhattan on the 7 train, but it's like stamping your passport. You can sample anything from Paraguayan sandwiches to Tibetan momos, the only Bhutanese food truck in New York, and the best Mexican food you may just find on the East Coast of the US. Jackson Heights is a foodie's paradise, and it's just starting to get attention from tourists. If you're a little hesitant about exploring without a local, my good friend Greg, who's a mainstay on the channel, offers food tours there, and many of my viewers have told me it was the highlight of their trip. I don't think you can really say you've been in New York unless you hit up some of these amazing immigrant-owned businesses for food. The Upper West West Side. Now, this is a neighborhood that many of you may find yourselves in without really realizing it. It's home to the American Museum of Natural History and Central Park. But if you walk just a few blocks away, you've got a great neighborhood that was even home to the fictional characters from Seinfeld. There's so many iconic places to eat there, like Gray's Papaya, probably the most legendary hot dog shop in New York City, or Barney Greengrass, an old school Jewish deli that doesn't get anywhere near the attention it deserves. Anthony Bourdain was even a huge fan. Even just wandering the beautiful streets after visiting Central Park is worth it. And if you want to see a local park that gets way less attention than Central, head over to Riverside Park. One of the city's best bagels, as far as I'm concerned, is located near Columbia. Absolute Bagels. And you are absolutely missing out if you don't visit the Upper West Side, which is truly one of the crown jewel neighborhoods of the city, as far as I'm concerned. While most tourists cross the Brooklyn Bridge and stay in a small area of Dumbo, I encourage you to walk up the hill 10 minutes to Brooklyn Heights. For one, you've got million-dollar views of Manhattan from the Brooklyn Bridge Promenade, which I think is one of Brooklyn's best-kept secret viewpoints. Seriously, I could just sit there for hours. Speaking of million-dollar views, you've got multi-million-dollar brownstones galore, and I'd call this the most beautiful neighborhood in all of New York City. And while it's not really known as a foodie destination, there's enough interesting spots like Della Rocco's for you to spend some time there. If you want a little taste of brownstone Brooklyn, Brooklyn Heights is by far the best spot for a tourist to check out. Make sure to bring your camera. Many of my Chinese American friends tell me that the Chinatown in Flushing, Queens is the superior one. And while you can't knock Chinatown Manhattan's central location, if you're willing to trek out to Flushing, you'll be eating in an area that probably has the best Asian eats in the whole city. Chinese, Taiwanese, Korean, and more. It's also more local. I have visited eateries that don't even have English on the menu. So if you're in the mood for a food adventure, I highly recommend it. And check out our entire Chinatown series linked down in the description for even more specific picks of restaurants there. Few neighborhoods have the history and culture of Harlem in Upper Manhattan. I can't think of many places with better soul food in the city. If it's your first time in New York, definitely consider a walking tour. Free Tours by Foot has a great one that I've even taken years ago. I think Harlem gets a lot of attention internationally, but it's overlooked by many locals. From beautiful brownstones on Strivers Row to lots of food options, it's a must visit. And if you're into jazz music, Harlem has some very famous spots that play well into the night. Another really popular activity is seeing a gospel choir live. This is a neighborhood any tourist needs to have on their radar. A lot of my younger viewers will flock to Williamsburg for its trendy nightlife and hipster scene, but I think Greenpoint, which is located just north, is equally as interesting. They've got Peter Pan Donuts, which may be the best donut I've ever tried in the city, and the waterfront views are nothing to sleep on. But perhaps my favorite thing about Greenpoint is the large contingent of Polish restaurants. I have never had a pierogi as good as the one that I ate at Pirojik. And Greenpoint has multiple Polish restaurants for you to check out. You could spend an entire day doing it. It's also got a lot of nightlife, and if you're looking for an alternative to all the crowds in Williamsburg, Greenpoint really checks off all the boxes as far as I'm concerned. We're gonna cheat a little bit with this one because even though it feels like it's in New York, Hoboken is actually right across the Hudson River in New Jersey. Just a 10-minute path ride from Greenwich Village. It's worth it alone for those jaw-dropping views of the Manhattan skyline. But it's also worth exploring Frank Sinatra's hometown a little further. There's plenty of good dining and delis to choose from, and the little streets without the crowds of Manhattan make Hoboken feel a little bit like a tucked-away oasis. Take it from somebody that grew up in Jersey, Hoboken is worth the trip. While Coney Island gets most of the tourist attention in South Brooklyn, I'm a much bigger fan of Brighton Beach, also known as Little Odessa. It's an interesting mix of immigrants from the former Soviet Union and the many local businesses they've established. If you're looking for pierogies and borscht, you've come to the right spot. How many neighborhoods of New York will you find random babushkas selling trinkets in the street. The boardwalk is also really neat to explore, to see live musicians, or just enjoy the ocean breeze off the Atlantic. And while I wouldn't call it a great beach for swimming, Brighton Beach packs a serious punch for the tourist who really wants to get to feel the cultural diversity that is New York. Make sure to stay tuned till the end. I'm gonna throw in one bonus neighborhood. Bushwick is one of New York's most unique neighborhoods to visit as a tourist. Its collection of graffiti in the Bushwick Collective and the surrounding blocks will give you a little taste of some local art. I also love all the vintage stores and thrift shops. My wife Adriana and I have gone shopping there in the past, just looking for some cool finds. It's also a real hub for nightlife. If you want to avoid the pretentious clubs in Manhattan, House of Yes, for example, is an incredible venue for any out-of-towner to check out. Or if you're looking for something more low-key, there's plenty of hip dive bars and a ton of spots to get some good craft beer. For my viewers under 30 or those just young at heart, Bushwick has so much to offer. One bonus for you all, Long Island City, Queens. If you get a chance to visit Long Island City, not to be confused with Long Island, the waterfront at Gantry Plaza is one of my favorites in the entire city. With unobstructed views of Manhattan and it's 75% less crowded than Dumbo, it's a fun way to spend an hour or two. And the neighborhood has some serious good eats if you know where to look. It's Queens' most expensive neighborhood for a reason and just a few minutes away from Manhattan.
Did you know the average visitor to NYC ends up feeling overwhelmed because they're afraid of making mistakes? So in this video, I'm gonna tell you 11 things you should never do in the Big Apple, how you can use this knowledge to have a better trip and feel more like a local and less like a tourist. Here we go. Traveling without this in New York is like eating a huge plate of spaghetti in Little Italy with a white shirt on and no bib. And I'm guilty of this mistake myself, and that's forgetting to have some hand sanitizer with you at all times. Let's face it, New York is a dirty place. We've got 8 million people roaming about, and when you're doing things like riding the subway, it can get pretty icky. And a lot of times you're on the run. Maybe you're popping into a bodega or a pizza spot which won't have a bathroom open to clean up. Take matters into your own hands and make sure at least one person in your group always has a small hand sanitizer with them. And the great thing is that even if you forget it, you can buy them at any small little stand in the city. And speaking of buying things from small stands, later on in this video, I'm gonna reveal one of the biggest tourist scams that most visitors don't even realize happens to them. Not tipping properly. Now, this tends to drive my non-North American viewers crazy. A general rule of thumb at restaurants in New York is tip 20% as long as the service was decent on your pre-tax bill total. At a coffee shop, I like to leave $1 if someone's making me a latte, for example. Fast food places, you really don't need to tip. If you want to drop $1 in the tip jar if you have a good interaction, feel free. But if you get one of those terminals that asks you to leave a tip, don't feel pressured to do it if it's for something fast. Like I was at a cafe a few weeks ago and I ordered a water for $1.50 and it asked if I wanted to leave an additional tip and I said no. And the person working there was not angry at me. For tourists specifically, taking a taxi, I'd lean on a 20% tip, assuming everything went well. Same with an Uber. Bellman at a hotel who takes your bags, I'd say $2 per bag is sufficient. At a bar, I like to pay $1 per drink. Now, if you're paying as you go, make sure that you tip after every drink you pay with cash. If you're doing something called opening up a tab, then you're gonna tip at the end and you just have to tell the bartender, I want to close out, which is something that I actually don't see outside of North America, that terminology, so it's good to know. Avoid trying the local classics. I want to challenge all of you out there to do something. Yes, eat your share of pizza and bagels, the obvious stuff, but I also want you to seek out foods that only local and dare I say, old-time New Yorkers really appreciate. If you want a real New York experience, go to Ray's Candy Shop, and if you're lucky enough to see Ray Alvarez, who's 90 years young, order an egg cream. Or go to Jonas Schimmel's and order a knish, which used to be all over the city in street food carts and are much tougher to find now. Or to top all this off, if you saw our Anthony Bourdain video, go eat breakfast at Barney Greengrass on the Upper West Side, order a sturgeon platter or Nova salmon on a bagel, a real appetizing experience from the past. You won't find stuff like this anywhere else. Doing any of these is like knowing the secret handshake to an elite club. Not planning properly. Now, I can tell you to watch every single video on my channel, but you probably don't have a week to sift through 500 plus different pieces of content. And many viewers have hit me up asking me if I do trip planning, itineraries, schedules, things like that. And it's just not a service I offer. But the good news is we've partnered with AskConsu.com to help you out with that important planning. Now, they're a travel service created by a team of local New Yorkers who tailor custom itineraries for visitors to save them time and help them enjoy more things they love. From restaurant recommendations to live performances and hotel picks. They're a team of lifelong New Yorkers. They know sports, they know where to eat with kids. They even have a vintage store expert on board, an LGBTQ+ insider, and a hotel expert with over 10 years in New York hotel management. Visit this site here to check out their free day planning tool. It's super lightweight and easy. Just add the activities you want to visit to see where they're located so you can group them and plan your days, which is something I always encourage you to do anyway. And for the last minute planners out there, they sell 10 pre-built NYC plans based on popular travel types for one low price of $19.99. And each plan comes with a full itinerary to download and print and a digital map of highlighted activities for transit directions. Visit AskConsu.com/HereBeBarr and you'll save 10% off of your purchase. Be prepared on your next trip to New York with Ask Consu. Getting into confrontations with strangers. Now, a lot has been made on the media about the increase of crime in New York. And in many of these reports, you tend to see there was some kind of an argument or a confrontation before somebody got assaulted. And the reality of traveling in a big city is that you will encounter mental illness and people under the influence of drugs potentially on a daily basis, especially if you're in Midtown Manhattan or taking the subway. Now, the vast majority of you will have no incident, but in case anybody tries to instigate anything with you, don't engage them. In my 12 years of living here, I've had a few situations where somebody got mad at me, for example, for ignoring them. Keep walking. If you're on the subway, switch cars at the next stop. If someone's blasting music or being rude, this is not the place to correct their behavior because you don't know what their mental state is, how they react, or what they're carrying on them. It's not worth your time to get into fights with people who have less to lose than you unless it is an absolute last resort. Making these subway mistakes. Now, there's so many potential mistakes a first timer can make on the subway that we have an entire video dedicated to this, but just in case, I want to highlight some of the more popular ones. One would be boarding an empty subway car during regular hours and it either smells like somebody died in there or the air conditioner isn't working and it's hotter than the sun. We'll add the obvious, not moving in when the subway is crowded to give people more space, and don't even think about blocking the doors when the subway comes to a stop and those doors open. And it's not considered good practice, or very sanitary for that matter, to eat a meal on the subway. Although I don't know what possibly would inspire you to do such a thing, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Mispronouncing famous streets or subway stops. Now, if you really want to impress the locals here, if you can nail all of these pronunciations, you're gonna be a step ahead. I think the most commonly mispronounced street in all of New York City is this one. How would you pronounce it? It's pronounced Houston Street, named after William Houston, who was a delegate from the state of Georgia to the Continental Congress. Another neighborhood you're likely to explore is this one, pronounced Greenwich Village, not Greenwich Village. And if you go to the High Line, you may enter on Gansevoort Street. Now, for extra credit, I want you to try pronouncing this for me. This is the name of a subway station. How would you say it? If you said Hoyt Schermerhorn, you would be incorrect. The proper pronunciation is Hoyt Skimmerhorn, and I have even messed that up on a video in the past, so Many of us are guilty of that one. And for the record, there is no such thing as the Lower West Side of Manhattan, and most locals refer to it as Lower Manhattan, not downtown Manhattan, although you can be heading in the downtown direction in Manhattan or heading uptown. I have to say, I think I may have found the coolest basketball hoop location in the world. That person has a hoop on their apartment rooftop overlooking the Brooklyn Bridge. Not engaging enough with local New Yorkers that you encounter on your trip. And I'm talking about tour bus drivers, taxi drivers, restaurant workers, people at the hotels, even New Yorkers that you just encounter striking up a conversation with. So many locals in the service industries here have stories upon stories and tips that I can't even offer you. When I travel, sometimes the best advice I've ever received are from the taxi driver or the Uber driver who picked me up from the airport. Heck, my wife Adriana told me a story about how in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the Uber driver that her and her friends got one day gave them a tip about a restaurant which they visited 3 times during that trip and she still dreams about. So don't be afraid to strike up conversations with local New Yorkers that you encounter during your travel here, because you're just a wealth of information. And despite the negative stereotypes, most local New Yorkers are extremely helpful if you're in need. Renting a car. If you think you need a car on a trip to New York City, especially if you're staying in Manhattan, I gotta tell you, I think you're crazy. Even if you're anti-public transit, just taking Ubers and taxis would make more sense financially and be a lot less stressful. Then let's factor in post-COVID the addition of outdoor dining facades, taking up tons of parking spots. And we've got congestion pricing coming here in 2024. And we talk about this on our last video about price raises. Between parking tickets, paying for garages, you are looking at a big old pile of hassle. Renting a car in Manhattan is like ordering a salad at a steakhouse. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. The exception to this would be if you're extending a trip to other cities or other parts of the United States. Then renting a car to leave the city would make perfect sense. Not having a plan for rain or extremes in the weather. Now, I've harped on this time and time again about having your New York City ideas split up into different parts of the city: Upper Manhattan, Midtown, Lower Manhattan, and the outer boroughs. You always have to be prepared for inclement weather here because it's just so unpredictable. I'd have a list of your top museum choices, shopping areas, restaurants, shows on or off Broadway, ready to go in case we get a few days of rain, an epic heat wave, a brutal cold snap. You just don't know what you're gonna get. And my favorite times of year here when people ask, I always say May and October tend to be the best 2 months for weather. This little scam is so widespread that most tourists don't even know that it happened to them. We've mentioned this on the channel many times, but I'm gonna repeat it again and again for my new viewers. It's not asking for the price of street food before you order it if it's not listed there. And it still amazes me to this day how many street food trucks in New York don't have their prices listed on the outside. And if you order food without that price showing, a lot of times the vendor is gonna charge you whatever he thinks he can get away with, like paying $10 to $20 for a hot dog. And I realize there's people visiting from overseas who don't know what a New York street hot dog is worth. Maybe you think it's worth $20. I have the utmost respect for most of the street food vendors in New York. So many of them are honest, hardworking people, but there's just a few bad apples out there, and I am so tired of hearing these stories from you guys, so be on the lookout for that. Today I'm going to show you a way to see some of the best sights of New York City at a fraction of the cost of what you pay for a big tour boat. For only $4, we're riding the NYC Ferry, one of the best travel hacks that most tourists have never even heard of. And I'll show you some of my favorite routes. Let's go. How do you buy tickets? You can't use a Metro card on the NYC Ferry. It is $4 one way. The easiest way to handle this is to download the NYC Ferry app and just buy your tickets before you even get to the station. The other way would be to get to any of the ferry terminals and to buy it from one of the machines. Also, if you have a big group and you're going to be taking a few of these ferries, great deal, 10 tickets for $27.50. Rockaway bound boat is one of my favorites for not just sightseeing, but actually going to Rockaway Beach. Super fun. Now, I've seen this line before, like down the block in the heat of the summer. There's some sights on this specific ride that you can't get on any tourist boat in New York City. You need to pick a nice day to do it. Always sit up top, unless it's freezing cold. The ferries have gotten really high tech. You even can order right from your phone, have everything set and go down and pick it up. Later on in the video, I may even have a beer. All right, the coolest thing about leaving from Pier 11 is you have just this straight on shot of lower Manhattan, the skyline, as you pull out. Not bad. Not a bad view at all. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these boats are $4 each way. This is not an expensive tour boat. You don't have somebody on an intercom telling you what you're seeing. You're just here to enjoy the views. I love that we have all of Manhattan just trailing behind us here. One thing to keep in mind is that these are commuter ferries, so I would try to avoid peak rush hour times in the mornings and in the late afternoons, just so you have more space to yourself. And now we're approaching one of my favorite bridges in the city, Verrazano. We are going under it. And as I said before, I don't know any other boat that will take you under this bridge. Island is completely deserted. The beach is empty. Normally on a hot summer day, you would see it absolutely packed. It is deserted because of these insane winds. You can see the skyline all the way in the distance. This feels like I'm at the Jersey Shore right now with a bridge like this. The fact that they have a few outlets on the main deck is actually really useful, especially because your ticket is on your phone. You are coming back in the same direction. You do have to exit, get back in line, and head back. I really insist you come to Rockaway Beach for an entire morning or afternoon. Check out the beach, check out the food, check out the beer. Really nice scene here. Of all of the ferries on this video, this is the one if you just want to dedicate to straight up sightseeing, take this. If you have 2 hours, take this ride. Since we just came back from Rockaway, we've got 2 hours to transfer for free. So we're jumping on the next line, included. True story, this is the only line I have not done before this video, and I'm most excited for it. You can already see those bridges. I already see where we're heading. I've heard a lot of tour guides use this acronym, but it's BMW, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Williamsburg Bridge, in order if you want to remember it. It's amazing how many ways you can do the Brooklyn Bridge. Biked it, walked it, going underneath it with a ferry, and I see the people walking right now. This view never gets old, I'm not gonna lie. It never ever gets old. Tip for you before you take the ferry. It's 75 degrees right now and I need this jacket. It is a lot colder on the water, it's a lot windier on the water, so you're almost guaranteed to need a jacket for this. This is by far the most relaxing way to experience New York, I have to say. A lot of the tour boats of New York, the dinner cruises, the Circle Lines, great in their own way, of course, and I think worth the money. But for the budget option, they actually don't go really beyond the Williamsburg Bridge. If you want to go past that on the East River, ferry is pretty much the best way to do it. Because we're passing Roosevelt Island. I love taking the tram there. And then the Queensboro Bridge, okay? Now, if you saw our video about what to do in the summer in New York, we biked over it. Now, for the first time that I can remember, I'm actually going under the bridge on Ferry. It's a first for me. Beautiful bridge, too. Very underappreciated, I think, by most non-New Yorkers. It's Gracie Mansion, yes, thank you. In your video? Sure. You could take over, you're better than me. You're way better than me. One of the reasons I didn't jump out here is I wanted to go under both the RFK and the Hellgate Bridge. And I've never been underneath either of those bridges before. All right, look at the RFK.
be the last place you want to end up on a trip to New York City. Rikers Island, which is the largest and most notorious jail in New York, with an estimated 10,000 or so inmates passing some time there. And we will leave it at that. So we went under 6 different bridges, and we see 2 more up there, the Whitestone and the Throgs Neck Bridge. A tour company could have just done this and called it the New York Bridges Tours. I think the final piece to this puzzle is when you look straight down at all the places we passed, and I just see the entire Manhattan skyline, clear as can be. It was commuting in style, I gotta say. I don't have this much fun taking the subway. All due respect to Circle Line, I've taken them before. They are literally going the exact same path as the ferry for about, I don't know, 9 or 10 times more money. Now, if you're planning on walking the Brooklyn Bridge, this is why you need to take this boat. Take the ferry to Dumbo, and then you walk back over the Brooklyn Bridge, so you only have to do it once, and you are walking towards the skyline. This is absolutely an amazing idea. Couldn't even get a seat on this, but it doesn't matter because we are just going one stop, 4 minutes. If you have the ability, pick a nice day to do this, not such a windy day to do this. This is a good like intro to New York ferry. I kind of put this on like your requirement. You're required to take this ferry ride, one stop. You visit New York. Now you've got a few options at your disposal. You can explore Dumbo, which I highly recommend you do. And of course, walk back right there to Manhattan via the Brooklyn Bridge. When you think of New York, these images probably come to mind. But there's more to the Big Apple than just skyscrapers. Today, we'll explore Bayside, a neighborhood in Queens that has it all, from food to views and more. We'll be led by someone born and raised here. Could this be one of New York's best neighborhoods? Let's find out. So if you didn't know, Bayside is in northeastern Queens. We are right near the border of Nassau County. We've got Matt. Matt, what makes Bayside so special?
It's just a beautiful place to explore, a small town feel in a big city neighborhood.
We're on the heart of Bell Boulevard right now, and I think this is the most famous street in Bayside. What's it all about?
This is a lot of people's first experience to nightlife that grew up in this neighborhood. The heart of a lot of really good restaurants and pubs, although they're becoming, unfortunately, fewer and far between, but definitely a great place if you want to grab a cocktail or grab dinner or have a special night out.
A block away, you got suburban Tudor homes, and you walk here, and you've got like every kind of restaurant imaginable.
Well, I'll point out a little history. They do the St. Patrick's Day parade every year on Bell. So that's why you'll see these all down Bell. So a nice little local spot if you want to grab a snack and a coffee.
And you were telling me, and I've heard that they have the best macaroons on earth here.
They melt in your mouth.
Wanted to get 1 cookies and cream macaroon, 1 lavender macaroon.
May we order espresso with you as well?
Of course. Anything else?
That's it.
I don't know if you could see on the top there, that frothy top. And that's the sign of a good barista, and that's the sign of a good espresso.
All right.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Let's try this. A little black, wow. Just straight up.
Straight up black. I won't lie. If I'm having it after dinner, there may be a hint of Sambuca in there.
That's a good idea. Also, you mentioned to me how good the macaroons are here, and others have told me about this spot. So I got a cookies and cream, my favorite flavor for a lot of things in life.
There you go.
That's delicious. Like pairing this with the espresso, perfect. Oh yeah, that's relaxing. You can just take 5 minutes of your busy day, sit down, enjoy this.
That's the idea. That's the whole idea of the espresso. They do it proper here.
French Workshop, Artisan Bakery. "25 minutes to Manhattan."
That's it, my friend.
That's it, right here. You know, Matt, I like to think all good stories start in a White Castle parking lot.
Most people end their night here, to be honest. Bell is known for its restaurants and bars. Formerly 24 hours, but they're still open pretty late. this is where you finished your evening.
To coat the hangover, I get you. I spent many a night in White Castle in New Jersey as well.
That's awesome. So another beautiful aspect of Bayside is you really don't feel like you're in New York City. This is classic Bayside architecture. You see a lot of this in a lot of the pockets of Northeast Queens.
Yeah, you got the Tudor revival style. One of my favorites, very common in Forest Hills, has that British feel to it. So you have a lot of different mix of suburban meets city. I know we talked about that already, yes. But it's cool. I could see why families especially probably would like it here.
You get a beautiful variety of trees and just beautiful tree-lined streets.
It is crazy, like comparing the city to Bayside, and not just Bayside, a lot of different neighborhoods in Queens and Brooklyn, even the Bronx, that feel nothing like Manhattan.
When I grew up, there was at least 5 diners in the neighborhood. This is the only one that is still open. They've all shuttered, but this is still one of the best in the city. Family owned, family run. They've been here, give or take, about half century. And I'm honored that they're still here and still part of the Bayside neighborhood.
I've never seen a Greek fast food spot like this. It actually reminds me of a Roll & Roaster in Brooklyn.
It's very similar in the fact, the old school facade, family owned, been around forever. This is where I want to go if I want Greek fast food.
We just walked down Northern Boulevard, saw tons of Korean restaurants, but big Greek community too, right?
Originally, mostly Greek. My neighbor, they have a Greek flag flying. We just walked past a massive Greek church. They have the Greek flag flying at another restaurant. So it is a very heavy Greek community. And some of my good friends and good neighbors in the area are all Greek. The Koreans are maintaining the heritage of the neighborhood and bringing in their own culture. It's really a great mix of cultures and a great mix of food.
You smell the souvlaki, you smell everything as soon as you walk in.
That's the smell of family heritage and love. Some of the best meat you're gonna get in the neighborhood.
It looks like a regular fast food spot, but they're playing Greek music, Greek flags everywhere. I love the pride. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I just want to try your famous lamb and beef gyro. Let's get 2 of them.
To get them. Yeah. We've been supported by the community for over 41 years. We grew in this business. We were taught to make gyros, you know what I mean? From little kids. I'm 2nd generation. We have 3rd generation working in here. I've been blessed to be supported by the community and being alive for 41 years. And we do our part, and everybody else does their part, you know?
Look at this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, my friend.
Enjoy.
This is a sight for sore eyes. I used to eat this almost every day when I was in Greece for a month. Mouth-watering.
Also, the first place I ever had a gyro from when I was a child. And to this day, it's still the best in the area.
The bar was set super high since you were a kid for gyros. It's amazing. I mean, you've been to Greece?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had a gyro this big in Greece?
No, absolutely not. This is how it's done here.
All right, I'm glad I came hungry today. To quote Ben the cameraman, if it ain't messy, it ain't good. Oh, I mean, you've got the lamb and the beef combined before it even goes on the skewer with this really rich, flavorful taste. The tzatziki sauce. This is something else. This is worth coming in here for the hospitality alone. And then we're talking about the food. Definitely one of the best gyros I've had since I've been in Greece. And I don't seek out Greek food enough. I think that's one of the advantages of living in this part of Queens. There's so many Greek places, but for fast food experience, this definitely needs to be on your radar.
It's generally my lunch and my dinner. To be totally honest with you, one goes a long way. They take ample care to take care of their customers.
One more Greek stop. You insisted on Mediterranean tastes. Why?
Another local spot. 1, great gift shop. 2, great little Greek tastes that you wouldn't get anywhere else. But it's another old school neighborhood spot that's devoted themselves to the Greek culture.
This business is primarily serving the Greek community. 95% of our products are Greek products, as you can see. And the cheeses are responsible for an estimated 35 to 40% of our sales turnover. People come here for the cheeses.
So these are the kinds of things you're not going to find at your average supermarket in New York.
You do not. This is a destination. It continues to be a destination because people can buy everything from here. This is our feta. A feta that matures in a barrel, in a wooden barrel. People just love it.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
That's so good. People come here from Long Island, from Astoria to buy this.
This is my type of place. He said 99% of the items imported from Greece. Greek lettering, you have to look at the English translations with stickers here. Oh, in Greece, I was the frappe cappuccino. Love it. I was addicted to frappe cappuccino.
There it is, your cappuccino. Yes, it creates an addiction.
It does. It's addictive.
I don't know how you can get rid of it. Once you are in this, you cannot escape.
No, you cannot.
We're only 2 blocks from my house right now, so it's very easy for me to come here and pick up artisanal product.
If I lived 2 blocks from here, I would be here about as often as you as well, okay? I'm a little jealous, I'm not gonna lie. A little jealous. What a store. Now that is definitely a store you've gotta check out in Bayside. I think when you Google Bayside, this picture always pops up, and this is absolutely beautiful view of the Throgs Neck Bridge here.
Right next to the historic Fort Totten, views for days. This is basically going right into the Long Island Sound, and then if you were to go up and around that way, you'd be heading right towards Manhattan.
You should stop by any bodega or deli and bring your sandwich here, have a little picnic.
Absolutely.
That's a nice view, man. I could totally see that happening if I lived here.
We are on the northernmost part of Bayside. What you're looking at under the bridge, you're looking at the Bronx.
Fort Totten is one of the most unique parks, I have to say, in New York City, and of course Bayside, because it used to be an active Army base, right?
That is correct, and actually part of U.S. Army Reserve still does turn out of here. So I am a former New York City paramedic, a retired city paramedic, and also on these grounds are FDNY's EMS Academy. Any EMT or paramedic or in training for the FDNY is getting trained on these grounds.
And perhaps one of the most beautiful buildings in all of northeastern Queens, and maybe one of the only castles in Queens, is right there. So this was originally Fort Totten's Officers Club, nicknamed the Castle because it's a rare example of Gothic revival architecture still active. Now it houses the Bayside Historical Society, and it's a really cool venue if you want to have your wedding in Queens.
This is probably one of the least known parks in the city, but in my humble opinion, it's also one of the nicest waterfront views. As you can see, soccer fields, family friendly.
And also the beautiful old military buildings.
Yes, the architecture is definitely a draw here.
This is where the commanding officer lives. This is where I want to live. McCabe's Bar Car. I don't know if I've ever quite covered a dive bar like this.
John, this is my home base, my friend. It's the quintessential local dive bar, great pool table, great jukebox, and great people. It's all locals.
All right, let's have a drink to cap off this wondrous day.
Oh, I would love one. I would love one, John.
You know, we walk in here and it seems like you know every single person. I love that, like, local character here.
It is. It's neighborhood folks. It's in a residential neighborhood, and we're all family. Everybody's got each other's backs in here.
So you spent just a few nights of your life in here?
Once or twice I've been here.
Once or twice?
Once or twice.
Well, I'm Marty McCabe, and I've been here for 28 years. Started in 1995. It's been a bar since 1965. It was the Mayo House for many years, and when I took over in 1995, it became McCabe's Bar Car. Why I named it Bar Car is because we're right next to the railroad, the Auburndale train stop, and it's a good New York institution, a New York gin mill.
All right, so this is very Rudy's-esque here. Free hot dogs, Sundays and Mondays. Perfect with beer.
There you go.
It's a good neighborhood. Very cool neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Never been before. I'm a fan. Today, I'll be sharing some NYC cheat codes that every tourist needs to know that I've learned after living here a dozen years. These will save you time, money, and a lot of headache. Here we go. I want to give a special thanks to Jolo for giving me the idea to make this video on a community tab post. Thank you so much. This cheat code starts the second you step off your flight and get ready to head to the city from any of the area airports. Have every single rideshare app downloaded on your phone. Lyft, Uber, and Revel. Revel is the newest, and that's where you ride in Teslas. And actually, I have a $20 off your first ride coupon right here. Feel free to use that. But a prime example, I was just at LaGuardia Airport 1 week ago. Every single person, it seemed, was trying to get an Uber. So a quick ride to Brooklyn for me would have cost over $100. With Revel, it was $45, but you can play around with this at all of the area airports. Always shop for the best fare. Another tip would be don't forget about taxis. At LaGuardia, for example, there was 0 line for taxis, and I know it would have been way cheaper than taking an Uber. Same situation at JFK, $70 flat fare to get to Midtown Manhattan. If you see that your Uber is well over $100, don't be afraid to jump into a yellow cab. Extra bonus, you're riding in an icon of New York City. Ordering pickup instead of doing delivery on any of the food apps like Uber Eats or DoorDash. Let's say you're going back to your hotel, Airbnb, place an order for pickup and get it on the way home rather than paying all the extra fees for delivery with tips, etc. This is even something I do living in the city. If I'm within a 5-minute walk of any kind of pickup, I'll do that over delivery almost every single time. On the topic of placing pickup versus delivery, how about skipping the line? At a lot of famous New York City eateries, placing your order in advance will save you 30 minutes or more. Prime example, Magnolia Bakery. My wife is obsessed with the banana pudding. She always, when we lived in the Village, used to place her order for pickup, cut the line, got the banana pudding, got right out of there. Same concept, Russ and Daughters, you want the famous Nova Scotia salmon, the scallion cream cheese bagel. You can do the same at Giuliana's or Grimaldi's in Brooklyn. Place your order in advance, skip the line, have some extra time to yourself. Going to your local bodega or deli, I've had many British viewers tell me this concept does not exist in the UK. Apparently 10% of you watching are from the UK. If I ever went to London and went to a pub, would you guys meet me? I'm curious. But yes, bodegas are the ultimate cheat code for locals in New York. Tourists don't go to them that often. For example, the other day, I got a $7 salad for lunch, which was humongous, filled me up. They've just gotten really popularized by people like the Aki Way. We did a video with him. They're insane sandwiches, but really any deli, any bodega in New York City for a cheap meal on the go that can actually be healthy, great cheat code. If you're visiting New York for the first time, check out our guides. We have itineraries, food maps, you name it, check it out. Link down below in the description. Super helpful for first timers. I can't take credit for all of these. We have some viewer submitted cheat codes, which are great. Karen N said, always carry a water bottle with you. We got the best tap water in the world. Otherwise, be prepared to pay upwards of $7 to $8 for bottled water. Okay, unless it's like a liter of Fiji water, it's not gonna be $7 or $8. And I don't know if it's the best tap water in the world, but it is certainly drinkable, great tip, and also really good for the environment. Bobby in Blue with an absolute ingenious cheat code. If you're staying in the city and need something from Amazon, you can utilize one of the many Amazon pickup spots available all around the city. Amazon is fast in NYC. Put your order in at the start of the day, choose a pickup spot near your hotel or area you're headed to visit later in the day. Many times your items will be there in a few short hours. This is so true. Like if you forget almost any item from your home city or country, get it from Amazon real fast. Kelly Craven, if you can't get a reservation to a popular restaurant because they're all taken on your date, set an alert on Resy or Open Table. People tend to cancel once the date gets closer if you're flexible. Yes, if you have a certain Michelin-starred restaurant that you really want to go to and you only have one day to do it, put an alert on Resy. Very good tip. Only if you're an extreme type A personality, Mao Tao wrote, turn on notifications for weather apps so you know when rain is coming. You should check the weather forecast every morning anyway to see if there's any chance of rain or cold weather, but having notifications if rain is coming, I mean, that's interesting. I've mentioned this in so many videos, but unless you're taking the air train at JFK Airport, you don't need a Metro card anymore. If you have any kind of contactless payment on your cell phone, Omni, you just tap and go. Not really a cheat code, but a lot of people still don't know about this. This right here is the indication board. Now this is very useful if you're riding late at night and you want to be in the same subway car as the conductor, this is where they stop. Number two, if you want to ask the conductor a question about how to get to the next station, about if you're lost, also, you can chat with them. They'll be right here. Atlantic next? I used to run into this all the time if I was taking the subway during rush hour, especially for express trains. If they're super packed like sardines, and you're not in a rush, you don't have a dinner reservation, Broadway show, wait 5 minutes for the next train. I guarantee you it's gonna be at least 25% less full. If you're a type A personality like me and you want to be as efficient as humanly possible when you take the subway, City Mapper will even tell you where to sit on the train to be closest to your exit. Might save you a minute or two, maybe 5 at a big station. I'm hiring child actors. I don't think I could afford these guys. So you love watching YouTube for information on New York. I appreciate your support on the channel, but I even watch other platforms for New York City creators. I think Instagram Reels is the best. There's so many creators on there doing all sorts of different stuff daily. Yes, they're making content daily. I don't know how they do it. Here's some accounts you should follow. Picture Perfect Luis, New York City for All, Marco's World NY, and the Bing Buzz. If you need that fresh dopamine infusion of New York City daily, just go to Instagram, follow them. You're gonna get so much cool information. I even get a lot of ideas from the stuff that they cover. I have never heard of a single tourist knowing this app, but Too Good To Go is something that many locals go crazy over. It's an app where restaurants and cafes sell surplus food from the day at really cheap prices. I'm talking like $5 or $6. Your mileage may vary on how much you get, but I just put in Midtown Manhattan for today, and I saw meal options from salads to pizza, Italian, even grocery stores. So if you're on a budget and you're not picky and you want to have a little fun, try ordering lunch or dinner from Too Good To Go, and you will save a fortune. I promise you. If you want to avoid paying $45 for the Circle Line Sunset Cruise, which I think is worth it for many people, you want something quicker that'll still get the highlights on the East River, consider the NY Ferry for $4 in each direction alongside the East River. You'll still hit a lot of the icons like the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, seeing some of the skyline from the East Side. A budget option that a lot of tourists have no idea about.